I model upon you, Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem. Quiet. The blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Hashabath, Bashalawam, Thowada, Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you, so be it. The Ha'ai Ma'ad Asherayim Akkad, Psalms 121. Anya Harayim Mayenyam Ya Oh Harayim Mayan Yabu'a Isaiah Yabu'a Mayahawa Shai Shemayim Wa'arataza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Rakalia Yala'a Yanawam Shashamarka Hana La'a Yanawum Wala'a Yayashan Shashuma Yasharala Yahweh Shamaya Yahweh Tazaya I Yam Yawamam Hashamash La'a Hakaya Wayara La'a Baliyala Yahweh Yashamaya Makom Ra Yashamar Napasha Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakia Wabuaya Ma'ithai Wa'ai Walam Basham Yahweh Shah Thawada Amen.
Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. You will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Shema Yashrala, hail Israel. Shema Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad. Shema Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Akkad. Shema Yashrala, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh Akkad.
Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Tapala Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer. Abba Yanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shankar, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Thaba'ah, Ratazawanka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashamayim, Nathalanawa, Lakam, Yawum, Zah, Wasalaknawa, Kababathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kababathanawa, Wala'a, Habiyanawa, O Nasayawam, Abo, Awashinawa, Mara, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Watha Parath, I will Amen.
Matthew 6:9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, and forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Ha'aisha Ramataz, the 10 Commandments. La'a, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayim, Akarim, Alpanya, La'a, Thaisha, Laka, Paso, Wala'a, Thaibadam. La'ah, Alakwaka, Shema, Yahweh, Alahayaka, Lashua, Zakar, Ath, Hayawun, Hashabath, Lakodashwa, Kabad, Abiyaka, Wa Amaka, La'ah, Thiratazak, La'ah, Thana'ah, La'ah, Thaganah, La'ah, Thainah, Shakur, La'ah, Thakamad, Ko, Asherah, Lara'ayaka, Aman.
Exodus 20:2. I am the Lord thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within that gate. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his maidservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Aman. Shabbat, be seated. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Parya Hagapan, Thawada Aman, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha Allah. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. I model upon you on Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem for the opening prayers. Barakatha Yahweh, Hagadol, Rakawam, Abiyah, Wanara'ah, Aliyawan, Malak, Shom, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Wako, Dabayim, Kayayam, Wagam, Hamashiach, Mayahawa, Adawanawa, Ahabnawa, Hapalah, Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Zakarnawa, Yahweh, Baratazawan, Ainka, Yasha Allah, Azarnawa, Bana, Wasap, Yasha Allah, O, Nanawa, Yum Yun, Aitha, Kayawamyum, Makwadam, Baba Kusha, Shalat, Mayaka Allah, Wahatazawadat, Allahayim, La, Maganawa, Rapanawa, Washamar, Alnawa, Ba'ikor, Shalat, Haroka, Sho, Yahweh Shai, Lanawa, Lalamadnawa, Rabim, Kakama, Tabawana, Wada'ith, Sho, Baraka, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Thumyad, Waiwalam, Ahmad. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. And also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people, Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most high, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever, so be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Hathawara. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light to see. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Awur, Lara Awa. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the ram sworn to call the people. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Koran, Ha'ayol, La Korah, Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Athalanawa, Hasheman, Zayath, Lamashak, Yasha'ala. Shabbat, be seated. Right, Shalom, Shalom. Shah Shabbat, happy Sabbath to all the brothers and sisters, as well as happy Feast of Tabernacles, Ashar Kag Sakwath, right? So we are in the 4th day of the Feast of Tabernacles. So we say Ashar Kag Sakwath, as well as happy Sabbath to all the brothers and sisters throughout the nation of Israel. Definitely want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the anointed Savior, for allowing us to come together on this day. Peace and blessings to those watching on the live stream, those listening on the teleconference line. I'll say Shalom Sinclair the Wolf, Shalom Elder Zaquam Malak, as well as Ak Rabakwa Malakah, Shalom Lab Tawab and Sister Emma, Shalom Akwath Warrior, Shalom Akwath Andrea Watson, Shalom Akwath Tazayan, Shalom Hashem Yuram as well. And everyone else who hasn't signed in or made a salutation, we say peace and blessings to you all. All right. This is Hayah Shirala Kanas, the Congregation of Israel, as it says behind us. Let me take this off here. Give me 1 second. Let's take this off. And where did I put it? Bear with me 1 second so we know where we go. All right. So again, salutations to all brothers and sisters. Shalom. Listen with your mind. Peace and blessings to you all, brothers and sisters. I'm going to read a scripture starting off in Psalms 133. A very well-known scripture when it comes to unity, being singleness of mind, you know, all trying to be on one accord. This is what Song of Degrees that, you know, King David mentioned back then, and it still stands true today, as well as even going to magnify itself in the future in the kingdom. This is Psalms 133:1. It says, "Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there Yahweh commanded the blessing, even life forevermore." Right. So I'm reading that because for us this week, for those of us who are able to participate in going down to Polkston, North Carolina, to keep the Feast of Tabernacles there in the wilderness, called Wilderness Woods, backwoods, outdoors. But it was a beautiful occasion for a lot of us first timers to go and pitch a tent out in the rural areas, trees, lakes, and things of that nature. Learn how to pitch a tent. Samak learned that all the years he was pitching his tent in his backyard, he was doing it wrong. Had to get the aid and help of the Akwath, and brother Manashah also helped me out as well. But just the brotherhood and the sisterhood that we experienced this past few days exemplifies in this verse, because not only were we there to just pitch tents, but it was really a building block for us as a unity, as a school, as a nation, to understand the depths of the Most High. Why did he give us this memorial, right? Why did he allow us or command us that we should go and remember what our ancestors did back then and dwell in tents? And we really found out, the strength of our nation, the strength of, the salt of the earth. That's us. We are the salt with the Most High's word. We're not talking about dropping a basketball into a hoop or singing on octaves for some type of music, but the salt of the earth is us when we walk in the Most High's commandments and do his will. And it was beautiful for us to see how we were able to keep the Most High's commandments to the best of our abilities there in that wilderness type environment. Prepare food, go through scriptures, do a service. It was almost, as Zaquan says, like it was a tornado was coming through, but it did have a blustery wind that came through, and we made the most of it. We had a beautiful time from us going through scriptures in the afternoon, from us doing the hikes. We did a bonfire. That was a highlight, I think, for a lot of us. From the going to the shooting range, it was a lot of things that we did, but as far as for activities, but I would say for me, the highlight was just the unity of seeing brothers and sisters dwelling together, and experiencing certain things for the first time together, right? To be able to, talk about how cold it was at night and what we needed to do to warm ourselves up, and we're going to do this, all of those things kind of exemplified what the Most High was trying to do and teaching us, brotherhood and sisterhood, and not just, worshiping and praising the Most High, because the two greatest commandments, we have to serve the Most High with all our heart, mind, and soul, as well as to love our neighbor or our brother as we love ourselves. So those are the things that, we begin to take to the next level when we start keeping these feast days, high holy days, solemn assemblies, even the regular Sabbath. We already starting to prepare for next year. Next year's Feast of Tabernacles, a year out. We are not even done with this one, and it was that great that we're already planning and preparing for next week. So, again, it was a beautiful thing. I want to give a special shout out and shalom to Akwath Aliyah Aina, as well as Ak Peace, Mana Shah, for holding us down with the food and everything. I was blown away. I didn't know Aliyah Aina was that good of a chef. You know, I knew Mana Shah liked to dabble on the grills and do certain things, but that combination made the week very, very, very pleasant, man. I mean, I was very impressed, highly impressed with how they held it down for all of us there, where we didn't have to. I think we had more than what we expected. One could say that that's the Most High, as far as for not needing to worry about those things, victuals, and everything was taken care of. So again, you know, I give a special shout out to Akwath Aliyah Aina for holding us down, as well as Kahan Mana Shah for also the combination and holding us down for the food. Give a special shout out to Akwath's Warrior and Hanaka for being our fire starters, right? They held us down on the fire pit. They made sure the fire was always going in the morning all the way to the evening, keeping things held down, and we all gathered around and warmed ourselves up and had good conversations. You know, all types of things. You know, Elder Zaquan, you know, he came in with a log or two every now and again, but the props do go out to a Warrior and Hanaka for making sure that we was kept warm throughout the days that we were there. So, you know, I just reminiscing on how pleasant it was with the brothers and the sisters. Shout out to Akwath Makwadash for the gifts and presents that she also provided to us. That was pleasant. I thank you, Thawada, for the words on the cards that you sent to everybody. I saw mine as well. I didn't see it at the time. I was hustling and busting, but after the fact, I did see it. So most high's will, everybody was gracious and pleased with the gifts and the presents. A special shout out to my young princess there, Abigail. You know, she has a special type of spirit on her, man. It's oh man, she warmed our hearts. But that she was a great helper for Sister Aliyah Aina and all those and every one of us, and kept us laughing and intrigued with her, how her mind worked. And then her sister, you know, I like to call her the young up and coming Colombiana. She knows what I'm talking about. I won't go too deep into it, but yeah. So again, all in all, we had a great time, man. And I thank the Most High. I always tell brothers and sisters, you know, be grateful. Always give gratitude, thanksgiving to the Most High for allowing us to be a part of this, because we could have been, you know, doing something totally different. That the Most High has us ingrained in this truth, ingrained in serving Him, and trying to make it to the end. So I'm always appreciative of that. If anything else, you don't want this truth to be taken away. So for those who were unable to make it, didn't have the ability to come out or got hindered, whatever the case may be, again, proper planning. So like I said, we're looking to already solidify the dates and times for next year, because it was that great of a time that we had. So we're going to do some early planning once we get the calendar towards the end of the year, when we get the Holy Day calendar and we solidify the new moon for the 7th month and we get the dates. Then we're going to lock that down, and then allow brothers and sisters to try to plan ahead way in advance, right? So that we don't have to wait to the last 2 to 3 months. You can plan ahead way in advance, and we'll, you know, look to do the same thing with other feast days as well, seeing how good of a time we were able to dwell together. Same thing for maybe the first fruits. We used to have certain things like that in the past, where we, you know, went out in the park, barbecued, and certain things. You know, because we're spread out, we'll definitely always try to find a central location, so that you know, folks are not bearing the burden of driving farther than others, but we can kind of divide it up. So again, all praise to the Most High Yahweh Shah, man. All praise to the Most High Yahweh Shah for giving us this opportunity. Again, still just the 4th day. Today is still a feast day. So for those who are unaware, you know, we are through the Spirit of the Most High allowed to cook, feast, and do things on this day. It's not like your regular Sabbath, where, you'd have to prepare things prior to. Remember, this is an 8-day feast, right? When the Most High wants us to be able to enjoy and feast and break bread and sing songs and read scriptures and do a lot of things in this week to separate it from the other days. So again, if you didn't know, this is a day from sundown last night to sundown where you are allowed to feast and cook and prepare things in honor of today. All right. So again, Kum Yasha Allah, Kum Yasha Allah, Kum Yasha Allah. Again, my heart was warm. So again, this is Hayash Allah Kanas. I've done enough of the reminiscing on our last 3 to 4 days. We're going to go into the Apocrypha this week, Wisdom of Solomon. I'm happy that everybody was able to safely make it back home for that drive. Those that's down in Georgia and Florida, those of us up here in the East Coast, throughout New York, New Jersey. So again, Philly, just shalom and all praise to the Most High that we were able to get there and back safely. All right, so I'm going to go into in the Apocrypha, as we see on the marquee, Wisdom of Solomon, chapters 1 and 2. We know that Solomon was a king who one could call him a poet. He was a writer of thousands of proverbs, hidden gems, wisdom. So when we read through Wisdom of Solomon, it's an extension of what you read in Proverbs. And it brings out a lot of in-depth wisdom that he was blessed with by the Most High before he became king, to make him stand out from amongst all the kings of his time, right? The Most High gave him the throne, but also blessed him, the most important piece, with wisdom outside of the riches that he had. So the historians were able to, again, translate other excerpts of his writings, which we have the Wisdom of Solomon. I believe this was translated from the Greek as well into what we have now. Same thing like with the New Testament, where we now can read a little bit more in depth of his breakdowns. All right, so we'll go into that now. Chapters 1 and 2 for today's Sabbath service lesson. And if you are new, you don't know, my name is Kahan Samak, Samak being support, and I, through the grace of the Most High, will preside over today's Sabbath service. All right, so this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "Love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. Think of Yahweh with a good heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him." Right? So it says to love righteousness, right? And we know righteousness to be associated to the will of commandments of the Most High. You can write down Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. Deuteronomy 6 and 25. And that reads, it says, "And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our power, as he commanded us." So righteousness is associated with the commandments of the Most High, the law, the statutes, the judgments, right? Some of the judgments we know are done away with Yahushua, or so-called Jesus Christ in the English, Yahushua in the Hebrew, his sacrificing himself on the cross for the sins of the nation, right? So certain things are not being done today because they have fallen on the shoulders of Yahushua. But there's still aspects of the law that the Most High commanded us to keep, right? And it is a schoolmaster for us to now understand the will of the Lord, right? To understand going through the motions of certain depths or chambers in the law to give us a higher level of understanding. As we were going through the Feast of the Tabernacles, the Sabbath service, it was cut a little bit short. Most High's we'll be able to go more in depth during the closing on Tuesday night, the 8th day. where we show the spirituality behind the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Same thing we do with the Passover. There's spirituality. There's a higher level of understanding when it comes to the Passover, a higher level of understanding when it comes to Hanukkah or the Feast of Dedication. So the Lord wants us to go through the motions in keeping these laws, keeping these holy days, and then as you mature in the spirit, you now mature to understanding on a higher level. So it begins with loving righteousness, which is loving the keeping of the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Go to Job chapter 29. Job chapter 29. And verse 14. Somebody read that, Baba Kashar. Job 29 and 14.
Job 29 and verse 14. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem.
Right. So just like when it pertains to when we put on the garments with the fringes, like it talks about in Numbers, the 15th chapter, verses 38 to the end, right? These fringe was a representation of the law, right? But now, outside of it being a physical garment, it's supposed to be a spiritual garment, right? Where you now spiritually cover yourself with the armor of the Most High and Yahweh Shah. So here, Job says he put on righteousness. He wasn't talking about the actual clothing, because he says here, and it clothed me, my judgment was as a robe and a diadem. So it's like a spiritual garment that he has on, right? So that's why the Most High and Yahweh Shah says that when the second coming of Christ comes, he doesn't want to find you naked, right? It's not like you're physically walking outside naked, although some people do. The Most High is talking about he doesn't want to find you without the law, because you put on righteousness, which is the law, and that is what covers you. If you don't have on the law, then you are found naked before the Most High and Yahweh Shah and the angels, and you will be judged based on that, right? So the Lord says that we are supposed to love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth, right? Now, who is supposed to be the judges of the earth? Go to Psalms chapter 58. Psalms chapter 58. And then I think it's the other one that's in 1 Corinthians. So somebody read that in Psalms 58 and 1.
Psalms 58 and 1. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men?
Right. So man is supposed to judge rightly, and we're supposed to judge based on the Most High's law, right? So when we go out there, whether it's a king or ruler, whether it's a priest or just someone, regular within the nation, right? We're supposed to judge. Today, you have the heathen judging us, and they're judging us based on their law, which is in wickedness. But the Most High wants to establish the sons of the Most High to be the judges and rulers of the earth. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. 1 Corinthians chapter 6. And verse 1. 1 Corinthians 6 and 1. I'll read this one. It says, dare any of you having a matter against a brother go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Right? So we're supposed to be self-sufficient, meaning we should be able to police and judge each other. But what usually happens is we rely on the other nations to judge us, and they're not going to have mercy, right? Right now, we know we are subject to the other nation as a form of punishment, but the Most High wants us to begin to now understand how we judge each other in righteousness and allow ourselves to be judged, because sometimes, you know, that old man mentality, you think to yourself, you're not over me, you're not my daddy, you're not this. Whereas in the past, we didn't have that same mentality, right? We was policing and judging each other, right? We had that tribal type of unity where that person didn't have to be your mother or father. They could still judge you or beat you or do whatever it need to be done. Now we are far removed from that. So in this, it's now trying to get us back to being able to follow the Most High's will, his laws, his commandments, and judge each other based on this. The nations won't have this, right? They don't follow this. So there's something that we should do. There's another aspect where you see some people who try to mimic us as far as for who we are, take our name, take our identity, try to take our laws, even though they don't keep the laws as it is written, right? And then go and do the same thing where they now have their own congregation, they have their own rules, their own supermarkets, their own way of judging or policing themselves. Amalek does that, right? But we're supposed to do that on our own because thus saith the Lord, right? So I'm gonna read that again. Dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust. The unjust is the heathen, right? Because they don't have the law themselves. They have their own law, which is unjust. It says, and not before the saints. We know the saints to be the children of Israel, right? Psalms 50:5, Psalms 148:14. Verse 2, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world, right? It should not be something that's far-fetched or ignorant, that the Most High is now establishing us that we are supposed to judge the whole world, right? Not just talking about Israel as far as for the world of Israel, but also the whole world, because there's other precepts that dictate and tell us that we are going to now be their rulers, and they're going to have to follow our standard, right? To the best of their ability, because they're not going to be perfect in doing it, right? But it says, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? So if we're going to be the ones to judge the world, how are we going to judge the world? Through righteousness. That's why I started back in Wisdom of Solomon 1:1, love righteousness. You have to love it. You have to, try to take off that old way of thinking and do it, thus saith the Lord, right? And make it a part of your everyday life. Make it something that you can be fun with, right? And taking challenges with yourself to increase in certain things. But if you don't love it, that means you're going to still fall back into the old worldly mentality of how society handles certain things, right? Every now and again, when a situation comes up, you're going to handle it the old man way, right? You're going to want to either start getting to the bats and the guns and the this and that. That's the old mentality. You want to now start doing things based on this, right? There's different rules and principles and ways of now mediating a situation that the Most High has in Scripture. We can't do it the old way no more, right? I love when Yahushua talks about in Matthew 18, when a brother or when two brothers or a sister or whatever have a transgression or have an issue, right? Don't come tell me. Go to that person first, right? So that's how you start judging the matter. Somebody coming like, yo, do you hear what such and such said? Did you talk to him? Nah, I ain't talked. I don't even want to hear it. All right, go talk to that brother first, or go talk to that sister first. Then after the fact, if things work itself out, I may not need to hear about it. If it don't work itself out, maybe then I need to come in and mediate. So there's certain things that's in the scriptures that the Most High is wanting us to love and ingrain ourselves with, so that we can now be set up to judge the world properly. But this is like the trial stage, right? You kind of got to go through the whims of now trying these things and putting and experiencing them. And then when the Most High proves that we are worthy, then he'll just fulfill the promise by putting the law in our inward parts. But reading on, it says, if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Right? So the same way when Moses came out of Egypt, he now had to handle everything from the smallest to the great. And then he began to set up order on how to deal with the smallest to the weightier matters. But we now have to do that. So we got to go and figure the same things out like he did, right? Figure out, how am I going to handle this? Where am I going to get, how much time am I going to get this person? This person has to be set apart because he or she is they just too far gone. They're too wicked in their dealings. We're gonna correct them by putting them on quote unquote time out for a while and let them get themselves together. That comes with judging the matter, right? You can't be hasty in judging matters. You have to be efficient, right? You have to be temperate. You have to put all these fruits of the spirit that the Most High has in the scriptures in even judging matters, right? So this is for the nation of Israel, that we now have to follow this standard and love this to do that, right? And then it says in verse 3, know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? So the Most High has already prepared bigger and greater things for us, right? We should now be able to handle certain things on a smaller scale that's we're dealing with right now, right? So it's the preparation of the mind to get us to where the Most High and Yahushua expects us to be, right? I see Elder Zaquan posted Psalms 19:8. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoice in the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. Right? So the law, everything starts and ends with the law through Yahushua. All right, so let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 2. For he will be found of them that tempt him not, and showing himself unto such as do not distrust him. Right? So we learned during the readings of the book of Judith how you had some of our elders or leaders at the time tempt the Most High by putting bounds on the Lord, meaning that the men of that day wanted the Most High to operate or do something within a certain period of time, right? That was putting bounds or confinement on the Most High, and that's not something we should do, right? So when you're in this truth, when you're in this walk, you're trying to go through and learn righteousness, you shouldn't say, oh, well, if the Most High don't provide me the understanding by this date, then I don't know, I might have to just find something else. Or I'm going to pray to the Lord that he gives me this by December. Right? I need to have that by December because I got plans to do something in January. You can't do certain things like that. Or put yourself out there in a manner where you yourself can make sure that you don't have to be put in harm's way. You don't have to, have a reliance of someone else to get you out of a jam. But you want to be high and mighty and proud and thinking, I could just go and do whatever. And the Most High, no. Proper preparation, the Most High tells us in the scriptures, right? The preparations of man is from the heart. So we now have to prepare and do certain things. We don't want to just tempt the Most High by putting ourselves out there when we don't have to. That's laziness, right? That's laziness, and it's making the Most High, imagine if that was you have a friend and he's always putting himself in a jam, thinking that he can always rely on you to bail him out. After a while, you're like, yo, man, you got to stop doing this. You don't need to do this. It's the same thing with the Most High. He's given us the ways on how to maneuver in these last days. When your back is against the wall and you have then of course the Most High will intervene. Of course the Most High will send an angel. The Most High will send a raven or whatever to come feed. Whatever those situations are when you don't have any control over it, the Lord will do that. But don't tempt the Most High, nor doubt him, right? That's what it says. Don't distrust him. Right? Meaning you don't think the Most High is going to do something, right? You kind of wishy-washy. You on the fence and you don't know if the Most High is really going to do certain things. I read it, but I don't know, right? You can't be that way, right? A lot of things that the Most High does is repetition, right? He will go through it repeatedly. We'll read it in this book. We'll read it again. Even in certain chapters, the Most High repeats things a couple times to try to reinforce it so that you can build up your faith. Then he'll give us a situation or an event that happens, and when the Most High went and actually delivered Israel or performed a miracle, so that we can now say, yes, you know what? The Most High is true. The Most High will come and defend, aid, help, do whatever it needs to be for us at that time. So when we're reading this, can't tempt nor distrust or doubt the Most High, where you want to take matters into your own hands. Verse 3, for froward thoughts separate from the power, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise, right? So if you have a froward thought, right? A froward thought speaks lies, deceit, evil, all kind of things that the Most High disproves of. Go to Proverbs chapter 6, verse 12. Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 12. So Proverbs 6 and 12, it reads, frowardness is in his heart. He deviseth mischief continually. He soweth discord, right? So a person that's froward, they're always ingrained in some kind of nonsense. They always say things and do things just to cause a discord or a situation, right? And sometimes most of us might know a person that's like that, where every time they're around, they're always saying and doing things to stir up strife, right? To cause a commotion, right? It says, therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy, right? These 6 things doth the Lord hate. No, I'll stop there because it'll go all the way down. But in verse 14 and 15 goes into how a person who's froward always is now wrapped up in deceit and mischief, right? So when you're in this truth, you can't look to always cause a calamity, right? You have to be a peacemaker, like Christ said in the Beatitudes when you read in the gospel, right? You have to look to see how can I rectify a situation as opposed to flaming the fire or fanning the fire, right? You want to be able to now use the spirit to now quench the fire or a situation. Whereas in this truth, we cannot be the opposite. So when he says frowardness, thoughts separate from the Most High, same way you would want to separate yourself from a person who's like that, the Most High will separate himself from you, right? And cause others to distance or separate themselves from you, right? And then he will reprove or correct or chasten you. If this is a person that's in the nation, he will chasten you so that you can learn better. And if not, then the judgment may fall upon you where the Most High may have to destroy you, right? And that's why it says that in Proverbs 6 and 15, as far as for his calamity shall suddenly come. His end is going to come, right? You wrapped up in commotion all the time, it's going to find you.
Right. It's like not taking the Most High at his word. It's like when you choose to solve a matter based on some other word or some other philosophy, automatically you're out of the spirit. Because the spirit is the word of the Most High. So whenever you use another doctrine or somebody else's word, and you take somebody else's word over the Most High's word, then you're out of the spirit. Then you're gonna find out you're gonna mess up because the Most High tells you, you'll take me out of my word. That's how things should run. Right. And once you're out of it, that's it. You're gonna reap the consequences of not taking the Most High's word.
Right. So back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 4, it says, for into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject to sin, right? So wisdom is not going to be content in staying inside of a person that's always wrapped up in problems, right? Strife. It's not gonna come in, because you have to have a meek and humble spirit for wisdom to want to dwell there, right? It's going to flee at a point in time, if you are a person who's now in this truth, for us learning this, it will flee if you now start to become wrapped up in sin, right? Go to 1 Samuel chapter 16. 1 Samuel chapter 16. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 16, and I'm going to read from verse 13. It says, Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. So at one point, when you read further back, Saul had the Spirit of the Lord sent to him by the Most High, so much so that it caused him to go out there and prophesy with the other prophets. Saul wasn't known to be a prophet, right? So much so that the people that was around had to question and say, where did Saul learn this? Like, is he with them? Was he always there and we didn't know, right? It was a new thing to see a person now with that spirit to go out there and be able to drop the word like that when they were not known. But then through Saul's rebelliousness, right, because he feared the people more than he feared the Most High, over time, the Most High said, you know what? I have to find another captain of the host for the nation of Israel, another king, another leader, which was going to be David. So he put the spirit on David and then took the spirit away from Saul and left him to his own calamity, just like how we read before. Left him to his own ruin, where an evil spirit came and troubled him, right? So now, if you are a malicious soul and you now desire to have the word, desire to have this truth, desire to have understanding, the Most High is not going to give it to you. So what that does is now says, I need to get myself together. I need to change my spirit. I got to humble myself as a little child like Christ told us to do, right? And then now go and learn the right way. What you thought you knew and all those, when we came in, we had to put all that to the side and say, you know what? I'm going to now give myself, be meek and humble and listen to instruction, right? You can't compare this to something else. Yeah, this is deep. This is just like, you know, what I was learning over there when I went to Bible school. No, it's not. It's not the same, right? You have to cast all of that out, right? And be a new vessel, a new spirit to receive this new wine, as Christ mentioned it in the parable, right? You want to have now a vessel that's open for new wine to come into your mind, your body. So this is what happened with Saul, because he now had an evil or wicked spirit on him through rebelliousness. So the Lord took that wisdom, took that spirit away from him, and then gave him to his own ruin. So this is what it's talking about when it says, for into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter, right? So someone who's not wanting to really deal with this, they're rebellious, wisdom's never going to enter. If you are in this truth and then you have it at one point and then you start turning wicked, it's going to leave, right? Go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 in the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4. And verse 15. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 4:15, it says, whoso giveth ear unto her, the her here is wisdom, shall judge the nations, and he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely. Meaning you're not going to lack or be fearful of anything that's in the days and months to come. The Most High will protect you and secure you. Verse 16, if a man commit himself unto her, being wisdom, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession. Meaning now, once you get this understanding and truth, it's now going to continue with you through now your posterity, if you are a sincere and humble soul. It says, verse 17, for at the first, in the beginning, she will walk with him by crooked ways and bring fear and dread upon him. Meaning once you come into this truth, like first I think it's First Peter's, the 4th chapter, talks about, don't think it's strange that this fiery trial is there to try you, right? The Most High says, listen, wisdom's going to be there, but it's going to walk with you through crooked ways, meaning there's going to be certain situations that you now have to prove yourself before the Most High as while you have wisdom walking with you. So it says, for at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways and bring fear and dread upon him and torment him with her discipline. Meaning, you know what? I used to do this on a Sabbath day. I can't do that, but my family, my friends want to do it. I used to go to Thanksgiving. I used to eat this type of food. I used to dress this type of way. And all my friends are pressuring me. My family's pressuring me to do certain things, right? And now wisdom is standing there looking to see what decision or choice are you going to make, right? So she's walking with you through all these things and bringing fear because you know in the world you love your family, right? You love your friends, you ran and did these things with them, but now it's about that time where you now are put on Front Street. The fiery trial now is there to try you. So it says, and torment him with her discipline until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws, right? So you now have to be proven. The same way how the Most High says you prove a friend, right? You prove a friend through adversity. So the Most High now has to see how you operate when you are in adversity. And that's going to tell a person, listen, through adversity, this person stuck with me through thick and thin, right? They didn't go back. They didn't leave me. They didn't leave me out there to my own ruin. They wasn't just out here for a good time. Listen, he came by the house every day and checked on me. He made sure that nobody bothered me. He brought me soup. He did all these different types of things. Is how you begin to prove a friend. So the Most High is going to have wisdom, see if you are going to stand by wisdom with all of these circumstances coming on you. It says, and try him by her laws. Then will she return the straight way unto him and comfort him and show him her secrets, right? That's that part about dwelling securely. Then she's going to come straightway, right? And provide you all this deep knowledge, right? And provide you the gems, the hidden gems, the history, the prophecies. And it's going to solidify you. It's going to allow you to be rooted in this truth. But it says in verse 19, but if he go wrong, she will forsake him. Same thing happened to Saul in 1 Samuel, right? He went away and Most High had to pull back on wisdom and give him over to his own ruin, right? Same thing, right? Most High give you the energy that you push out, Most High give you that same thing. You reap what you sow.
Right. It's almost like somebody used to be in the truth, and then he used to do everything, keeping the law, observing the high holy days, and practicing it. You can see it through. And then 1 minute they decide, you know what? I think I like this idea better. Next thing you know, that same person that used to keep the law, be diligent, you're asking yourself, why is he doing this? Why is he saying this? It's like this, whatever he knew to be true just left him and then replaced by the new doctrine that he's practicing out there in the world like he never been was in the truth. That's kind of like the same example what Saul wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Question: he's doing this? Yo, I can't believe so and so is doing this because the spirit left him and some other spirit come in. Now he's operating according to that spirit.
Correct.
But you see the same person, but he's operating different.
Kind of the scripture that I quoted earlier was 1 Peter 4:12 about thinking not strange, right? You're going to go through this fiery trial, that which is to try you, right? Same thing we're reading Ecclesiasticus 4:15 on down, that wisdom is going to be there, but it's going to be there quicker ways. It's going to bring fear and dread. It's that fiery trial to try you. So let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. We have verse 5 now. It says, for the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit and remove from thoughts that are without understanding and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in, like we just talked about. For wisdom is a loving spirit and will not acquit a blasphemer of his words. For for the power is witness of his reigns, and a true beholder of his heart, and a hearer of his tongue. Right? So wisdom is a loving spirit, and if you blaspheme, you go against this truth, you start to speak differently from what the scriptures talk about, the Most High will not acquit you for your words. Right? Even Yahushua spoke about every idle word. Right? Every idle word that a person speaks, they're going to be held in judgment in that day. Somebody, I forget what that scripture is, that precept is. Somebody can find that one. But he will not acquit a blasphemer of his words. Right? You have had it where some people have been in this truth, and because of personal issues with another brother or another sister, they throw that all on the truth. Right? Yeah, you see they in that Israelite thing, there ain't no love in there. That's it's all a cult, right? And it was because you had an issue with a brother or you had an issue with a sister. Now you're throwing, as they say, the baby out with the bathwater, right? Sometimes all brothers ain't good, all sisters ain't good, or sometimes they may slip, right? You may have to understand that sometimes a person may err in their ways, but doesn't mean that you now have to throw the Most High out with the person, right? I've seen brothers say, you know what, I wasn't feeling this school because of such and such happened, and I went and built with that school, and maybe they thriving, right? Or a person was in a school or with the congregation, with the body, and they left and was still keeping the commandments of the Most High. They wasn't in here for another brother or sister, or they did not, feel that, everything that this person was doing was a representation of the Lord. They still did the work. But when you blaspheme against this truth, right? You blaspheme the Most High's will, then the Most High can't acquit you. He will find judgment upon you. And when we read the scriptures about when Yahushua said, if anyone blaspheme the Holy Spirit, what's going to happen to them? There's no coming back. Right?
And blasphemy only goes when you know it's the truth.
When you know it's the truth. Right? If you're ignorant, like Paul, when you read in the New Testament, Paul went out and condemned Christ and was causing physical harm to the brethren. I think it's in 1 Timothy, the first chapter of 1 Timothy. He said he did it through ignorance. He didn't know, right? And Yahushua apprehended Paul spiritually to go out and be a great forerunner. But now, once you come in and you know this truth, you know the will of the Lord, you know what is your responsibility, and you turn back from that, that's when you begin to start blaspheming. And that's when the Most High or Yahushua cannot acquit you, right? Yahushua is our mediator. He can go and justify certain things for us when we slip, when we fall, and say, Father, give him time. He'll get it together, give her time. But when a person blasphemes, it's like, hey, I can't vouch for you no more, right? You on your own. You're left to your own ruin in this case, right?
Matthew 12:36.
Matthew 12:36. Read that. You got it?
Matthew 12:36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment.
Right. Every idle word. So you have to be careful with your speech, careful what things you say, right? Which means you have to consider your words, right? Be not hasty or rash with it when it comes to decision making or even speaking certain things to people or in the public or even in private, because there's no difference whether it's out there in the public, whether it's in a space where it's just one or two people. Everything is being recorded by the angels, right? With a rod of iron, that means it's going to be permanent and not going to be held against you. So you want to make sure that you consider these things.
Right. I got Mark 4:24.
Mark 4:24.
Correct. It says, and he said unto them, take heed what ye hear. With what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. So especially in this day and age where information is everywhere, like we just touched on, those who listen and act ignorantly, they might get a pass. It's not like they not gonna get judged for that. But the minute that you become aware, you got to be very careful. Either we investigate for the sake of helping other people, or don't look to find some other ways to divert from the scriptures, because information is everywhere. And if we're not stable in this, then somebody might come up with something that sounds really, really good, because information nowadays is easily accessible. Somebody might come up with some philosophy that's nice, it sounds really good, and it makes you start doubting the scriptures. Oh, sounds good. Now, or you start, pairing with the scriptures. But you got to analyze everything that people say with a grain of salt and see if it lines up with the scriptures. And if it's not lined up with the scriptures, you let it go. But the key is you got to become stable in the scriptures before you expose yourself to so much information that are out there that may cause you to go astray from the word.
And that's a problem at times within Israel, because most people are not rooted, and they become enamored like the world with just taking in all knowledge. I want to learn everything, right? I got the Bible, but I also want to learn, this book, the Book of the Dead, the Quran, the 3rd and 4th Maccabees. They want to learn everything and have not gotten past first base yet, right? Because once you get to first base, once you get rooted in the milk, then you'll be able to discern all these other things. And that's a problem. Most of us are, as a nation, we're not able to discern good from evil, right? So they can look at, in Islam, so to speak, there's some good things in Islam. There's some good principles there, right? There's some good principles in Buddhism. There's some good principles in a lot of different philosophies and doctrine. And most people get caught up and say, see, yeah, it has good. There's some good stuff there, right? And then they said, well, because they say certain things that's like what you may read in the scriptures, or what like the Most High gives in his law, they let their guard down and say, hey, I'm going to go and eat all of that, right? Because reading it is digesting in your spiritual mind. But they have not been able to discern there's evil in there. There's bones in there that's going to choke you spiritually, because they have not fully read and digested all of the law to protect them from those things, right? And that's why going through the motions and keeping the law day by day to the best of your ability, putting in that application, allows you to discern. And then you stand firm. Once you now have done it so often, somebody come up to you and something like, nah. You like, nah, I'm not drinking that. I ain't eating that, right? I hear what you said. Yeah, I see this, but I still don't want to eat it, right? You would not go and say, if you're a person who is allergic to shellfish, go to someone's house and they prepared a meal. They have chicken there. You could eat chicken, but in the meal is shellfish and chicken. The chicken is good, but because it's paired with the shellfish, you say, nah, I can't, because that might damage me. If I eat that, or if a little bit of it get in there and I eat, I'm gonna get sick. So why spiritually do our people always want to look and say, hey, you know what? It has some good things in there. I was reading about this in that book, and it said the same thing here. What about all other stuff? Well, yeah, it said that, but I wasn't focused on that. Right? And you just lost right there. Right? It's the same issue that you read back in the book of Genesis, way in the beginning, when the Lord says, don't eat from the tree, or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil. He didn't say don't eat of the tree of evil, right? He said don't eat of the tree of good and evil. And that's the part most people miss, as to say that, yeah, there's certain things there that I could digest, but I might digest some evil stuff and it jam me up. So why not just leave it all alone, right? So reading back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 7. For the Spirit of the Lord filleth the world, and that which containeth all things have knowledge of the voice. So the Most High will speak through his wisdom through all things that is here. Go to Wisdom Solomon chapter 7. Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 24. So the Spirit of the Lord filleth the world, and that which containeth all things knoweth his voice. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 7:24. It says, for wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness, right? So motion is constant and never stops. Wisdom is more moving than anything that you know that is put in motion, right? It exceeds that, right? So it's almost like a euphemism to say, hey, whatever you may think is the thing, wisdom is above that, right? It says in verse 25, for she is the breath of the power of the Most High, right? So when you read it in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, when the Most High breathed into Adam the breath of life, wisdom was what the Most High gave Adam, right? Not actual oxygen, right? The Lord created all man, right? People who did not have the law was also able to breathe and do certain things. Adam was separated from the rest of them because the Lord gave him the commandments, gave him his wisdom at that time, right? Reading again. For she, wisdom, is the breath of the power of the Most High God, and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore, can no defiled thing fall into her, right? So the Lord has filled wisdom everywhere. Anything that you now see in this world that the Most High's created, wisdom is there to speak or give her voice, whether it be the trumpet, the ram's horn, whether it be this marker here, right? You could say, yeah, the marker is made of plastic, which is made of oil, which comes from here, which does this. And now you can also relate that to such and such. So there's wisdom in all things. And that's just on a small scale. So the Most High's knowledge, as he says, is higher above all man's knowledge. Isaiah 55, I'm paraphrasing. That's the same with wisdom that he's provided. So that was Wisdom of Solomon 7, 24 and 25. You could read on down, but I just stopped at 25. It's beautiful as you read further down about how the Most High views wisdom more beautiful than the sun and all kind of things, right? So it says in verse 8, back in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1, it says, therefore he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid, neither shall vengeance when it punisheth pass by him. So a person that speaks wickedness or is about sin, again, Galatians 6 and 7, you reap what you sow, right? That's why it says that judgment is not going to pass by him, right? You're a wicked soul and you're out there speaking unrighteous things, and that angel, that spirit comes by, it's going to judge you. It's going to deal with you. It may deal with you at a certain manner. It may deal with you over a certain length of time. It may plant the seed where it's like, here, you're doing something today, but in a month or 2 or 3, the Most High is going to now even make it worse, or it can get you right then and there. Most High is the master of figuring out how to judge someone, right? The Most High will wait. He will, have patience with you. But when it comes time for the judgment, he's not going to let it pass by you. It's going to come, right? So I'm read that again. Therefore, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid, right? It's going to be shown, especially the prophets of the men of the Lord are going to always do Isaiah 58 and 1, right? Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, right? So when the men of the Lord or the prophets go out and teach, or even in a certain spaces, they're going to correct. And when a person speaks unrighteous things, they're going to get corrected. And people are going to observe and see. Like, yo, brother, why you do that? Sister, you can't say that, right? Don't say those types of things. Or Why are you doing this? It should be made as an open rebuke. It says in verse 9, for inquisition shall be made into the counsels of the ungodly, and the sound of his word shall come unto Yahweh for the manifestation of his wicked deeds. For the ear of jealousy heareth all things, and the noise of murmurings is not hid. Right? So inquisition of the ungodly, right, shall be made known to the Most High. Right? Like we said earlier, that Most High has angels all about us. Right? And he's going to now have inquisition or searching or rooting out certain things that's done wrongfully. Like it talks about in Jude, I think it's the 3rd verse or the 2nd verse, where we contend for the truth, right? You're going to contend for the truth by making inquisition to make sure that these things don't continue. Was that Jude 3 you said, Con? Jude, the 3rd verse, as far as for contending for the truth. So we're going to contend and we're going to investigate certain things, and the Most High is going to have the angels do it as well, right? Especially amongst our people. Because when it talks about the ear of jealousy heareth all things, right? Go to Zechariah chapter 8. The ear of jealousy. Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 1. So in Zechariah chapter 8 and 1, it says, again, the word of the Lord of hosts came to me, saying, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. Right? So the Lord said that he's married unto Israel, right? So a person that's married to a woman, if that woman goes and speaks about another person, another man, and he's speaking highly in the same comparison as that man, that man is going to be upset, right? That husband is going to be upset with a great jealousy. So the Most High, on a spiritual level, he says that he was jealous for Zion. He wasn't jealous for the Egyptians, or he's not jealous for Esau or Elam or any other nation except for Zion, which is Israel. And he said he was jealous. So he's a jealous power, a jealous God only for Israel. So now when Israel goes and speaks and mentions, look at the scripture that says, don't even make mention of other gods, right? See if you can find that for me, Con. Don't make mention of another God, right? Meaning, not to say that you can't speak the other God's name, like Ashtoreth is in the Bible, or Baal is in the Bible, or, you know, some of these other false deities. It's not talking about literally speaking the name, but it's talking about making mention of them in the same vein or likeness as the Most High. When you start now boasting or lifting up these other deities, and they have certain good things like the Lord, no, that's when the Most High gets jealous. It's the same thing if I have my wife and she's speaking about, oh yeah, that this guy, he looks so good, you know, his hair is nice, he talks well, you know, he taught me a lot of things, and like, wait, what? Who is this? Right? That you always speaking about. Every second and third day you speaking about this guy, I'm gonna be offended, right? Because you won't speak about me like that. Right? So if the Most High hears someone of within Israel speak about the Queen of Heaven, or speak about Diana, or speak about Baal, he's going to be upset and wroth and jealous with Israel. And then it also spoke about murmurings, because when we came out of Egypt, that's what Israel did. They murmured. Man, we had it better when we was in Egypt, when we were serving that other God, when we were serving and following them. Most High's like, what? Like, all this I did for you, all this I'm taking care for you, I'm clothing you, I'm feeding you, I'm protecting you, fighting for you, and you still want to talk about that? You want to talk about them?
that's wrong, that's wicked, right? So when it speaks about the ear of jealousy, it's because the Most High is jealous for us, and he doesn't want us to speak about or make mention of anyone else. Did you find it?
I'm not sure this is the word you want. Ephesians 5:12.
What does that say?
For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. I don't think that's the one.
No. Go to Exodus chapter 23. Exodus chapter 23. And 13. So Exodus 23:13, it says that in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth, right? So you're not supposed to praise or make mention of any other God in the same manner that you would do with the nation or with the power of the Most High, right? It's not saying, like I said, I'm reading and I see the word Asher and I know that's a false god, I skip over the word. No, I'm not going to skip over the word because we need to edify, right? You're going to say that's a false god. It's a false deity. That's the god of the other nations. They're vain. They're vain. And I need to edify the people so that they know. So when the Lord said, don't make mention, don't let the name come out of your mouth, is meaning to praise or lift them up like the Most High, right? You cannot do that. And Israel has done that in the past, right? Especially coming out of Egypt, right? We would now murmur and complain to the Most High how better we had it under the Egyptians and their false gods, right? Where the Most High was now the one who was ruling over us and delivering us and teaching us and guiding us, and we still murmured, complained, right? Israel always, we even complain to this day. But while we're in this truth, we should not be ones who complain to the Lord because we know what things the Most High has promised for us. Go to Philippians. Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 13. Philippians chapter 2, verse 13. So it reads, it says, for it is God, or the Most High Power, which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Do all things without murmurings and disputings, right? Do all things without murmurings and disputing, which goes into a lot of times people like to question the Most High, right? Well, why he got us doing this? Why we got to do this for 7 days, right? Why we can't kindle a fire on this day? Why we always got to do such and such? That's murmurings and disputings. You want to now joust with the Most High. Don't do that, right? As I was raised up when I was a young one, and even though we grew up in an environment that wasn't the best of conditions, we still had respect. And when someone asks a question, it's like, why you got to do that? After trying to go through so many little reasons, because I said so. That's it. Because I said so, right? And if that is not enough, then when you come, what comes after that is murmuring. Oh man, he talk about this. That's murmuring. Now you're going to dispute. So I don't think that's right. I was reading somewhere else where it said such and such, and it gave a better. That's what the Most High don't like to hear. When you murmur and you complain and you dispute and you try to find an answer or find counsel from someone or something else other than him, as if his counsel is not good enough, right? That's what the Most High is speaking about, his ear of jealousy, to not have that amongst yourselves, right? Go to Ephesians.
chapter 4, verse 29. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, right? Definitely no corrupt communication as it pertains to the word of the Lord, right? Sometimes the manner in which we bring out this truth can be corrupt. Like I said, everybody in the nation of Israel ain't all on point. The Most High is going to weed out some men that's in a camp. And it's happened, and it's been happening, and will continue to happen, because this has to be the proving ground. So we can't now corrupt the word of the Most High for our own benefit, right? To say that I want to use this to get the upper hand. I want to use this to command the camp or command. No, right? Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying. Don't come with an ulterior motive, a hidden agenda. Right, I'm sitting up here, I'm looking good. I got a shield and a mitre, a mitre, however you want to pronounce it. And people look at me and they admire me. But I'm going to bring out certain things and use that to my advantage, because that I want to gain more favor. I want to do something. No, the edification that comes out of our mouths has to be to the edifying of the nation. Even Moses fell victim to this. Hence why he could not enter into the land of Israel, right? He did not sanctify the people in the manner how the Most High wanted him to do it, right? So the Most High don't take some of these things lightly. You may think it's just a light thing, or I'm in the shoot. Even Moses was, as great as Moses was a pillar and a judge and a king for the nation of Israel, he himself was without flaw, that the Most High imparted a judgment upon him because of certain things, right? I would never think myself on the line of a Moses or some other righteous man. So if these men, the Most High, and put a certain judgment on them because of what they did not do or what they did do, then I have to now try to hold myself accountable. It says, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Right? Because I'm looking for the salvation of others and not just myself. So now when they hear this word, as we're reading the Most High's word, and we are now stewards to edify, we want to make sure that they walk away with the grace of the Most High, right? Bahashem Yahweh Shah. That's what we now have a necessity placed upon us to do as we preach the gospel, to make sure you walk away feeling and understanding what the will of the Lord is. Point blank. So let's go back. Wisdom. Zechariah 8:1 and 2. And then Philippians 2:14, and then Ephesians 4:29. So we are back at Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 11. It says, therefore, beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable, and refrain your tongue from backbiting. But there is no word so secret that shall go for naught. And the mouth that belieth, right? Belieth means to deceive by lying, right? Slayeth the soul. So a person who's wrapped up in lying all the time for a purpose to deceive others, the Most High, that person is trying to take your soul or your spirit. But the Most High says, when that judgment comes by, it's not going to pass by him. It's going to deal with him or her, right? So this is a warning and admonition to us all to make sure that we don't fall victim to how some of us were coming out of Egypt. It says, seek not death in the era of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands, right? We know death, Romans 6:23, to be the wages of sin, right? So you don't want to add sin upon sin, right? Sometimes people are in this walk and they may not be rooted, and they continue to go back out and do the things they did before. They're adding destruction to themselves. This is the space where you are here to learn. You are here to make mistakes, but get better at not trying to do them, right? A righteous man falleth 7 times. So you want to make sure that you continue to do more righteous works than evil ones. Go to Colossians chapter 3. So don't seek death. Death is a wage or the reward of sin. So how do you not seek death? It says this in Colossians chapter 3. Colossians chapter 3, and I believe it starts at 5. Come. So we're just reading the comments. Shalom, Yahab, Shalom, Yahweh Kanan. All books about religion took their principles from the Bible, yet without the prophecies. The Bible is a blueprint that is plagiarized. And then Shalom Joseph from Ghana says he wants to join and worship Yahweh and the congregation, but don't know whether you have a branch here in Ghana or how can I worship with you. So,
Already doing that.
yeah, you're already doing it. I see Elder Zaquan is already had a question. Yeah, we don't have a branch there in Ghana, as we have brothers and sisters who are not physically located with us in as we're here in Philadelphia. But you know, as Elder's already asked a question, we'd be curious to know, how did you learn about this truth? How much do you know about this truth? Do you understand the will of the Father? I see you even mentioned the Most High's name. So knowing that some of our brothers and sisters are still spread throughout West Africa and other areas, we will be curious to build with you to find out what your lineage is and how did you learn about this truth. So towards the ending of this service, we'll see if we can get some contact information to talking a little bit closer with you. Atizaya. All right. Hopefully Atizaya is on point with his building with you. But I'm going to continue on. This is Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5, as it pertains to seeking not death through the era of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands, right? So it says in Colossians 3 and 5, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, right? Now, what does it mean when it talks about mortify? Anybody know what it means when it talks about mortify?
Destroy, to kill. Mortify the body, to kill.
To kill.
Extreme.
Like it's dead. So like not that dead. Become like dead.
Right. Mortify in this context, like to subdue those desires, right? You want to bind or subdue, diminish those things that's in you. So when it talks about mortify, therefore, your members which are upon the earth, right? So now this is talking about a spiritual mortification, not like you're actually killing somebody or cutting off your finger, but it's spiritual because it says fornication. So if you are a person who had fornication as a part of your spiritual mind, you now need to mortify or subdue it. Uncleanness, inordinate affection, right? So now brothers and sisters who have that inordinate affection, who's at camp, was like, what happens if somebody says, yo, I just like 5-year-old girls, right? And you're a grown man, you like a 5-year-old girl. Or you're a man who says, I like other men too, right? That's an inordinate affection. It says evil concupiscence and covetousness, which is idolatry. So the Lord, through Paul, is giving us different variations or different types of things that you now need to mortify. These were things that was going on back then. Some of them are still going on today, even at a higher level than what was going on back then, right? So now, if you want to now continue in this truth, you now need to mortify. A lot of times, people don't mortify. They don't mortify the member. They're here for a while, and they now hold on to those things. So as it's saying, seek not death, that's what exactly people choose to do. Go to Jeremiah chapter 8. Hold that in Colossians 3. We're going to come back to that. Go to Jeremiah chapter 8.
Could we say dead in your urges?
Say again?
Dead in your urges.
Your urges, your desires, your lusts, right? So Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 3, it says, and death shall be chosen rather than life, right? So you're not supposed to seek death, but now in these days, men will seek death by choice, ignorantly, not knowing that these things are death to the Most High. These are sins, and people are still going to run to do sin. It says, by all the residue of them that remain of this evil family, which remain in all the places, whither I have driven them, saith the Lord of hosts. So the Most High scattered us throughout the four corners of the earth. The bulk of us is here in Americas, but we're scattered through Central, South, the Caribbean. Some of us are scattered throughout Europe. Some of us are still in Africa. Some of us are even in Iran. Some of us may even be in China, right? It's interesting that who I presume to be a brother that's on here is from Ghana, because I remember seeing, I spoke about it in class, there was a person from Ghana that was in China living there or whatever he was doing, and he spoke fluent Chinese, right? Now imagine, he stuck out like a sore thumb, right? He stuck out like a sore thumb because, you know, he was a dark-skinned, melanated person, but everyone was, you know, looking at him strangely, like, how do you speak the language? So how do you do this, right? Now what if he's on social media and he's seeing this and he's like, yo, that's who I am, blah, blah, blah. And now he's over there in China, right? So you're going to have it where we're still going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, that we now still have the opportunity to seek life. But it says, but the residue of them that remain even unto this day are going to choose death, right? It's not saying that they want to die by the bullet, but their actions is saying that, right? Their actions is leading them to that. And the Lord says, don't do that, right? Don't do that while you're still committing iniquity. Still try to push forward and mortify your members, to subdue those urges, subdue those desires, subdue those lusts.
Right. It's almost like not almost. The reality is, if anyone was not in the truth, you have chosen death as of right now, ignorantly, but you just chose death.
Mm-hmm.
So as many Israelites that are out there that are not following the scriptures, they just chose death. So imagine how many, you know, the amount of our people out there who just walking dead.
So go back to Colossians chapter 3. It says, verse 6, because we spoke about fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Verse 6, for which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, right? So the Most High's judgment will come upon you and give you to your own ruin if you continue in these things and you don't mortify them. Verse 7, in the which ye also walked some time when ye lived in them, right? So all of us at some point have fulfilled some of these types of lusts, right? We're not immune. May not be all, maybe some, maybe one, maybe five, right? Or whatever. But verse 8 says, but now ye also put off all these. So it's more. It's just not that you say, okay, you know what? I've subdued my desires for fornication. I've got that. I've subdued, you know, concupiscence, right? I'm good with that, right? Okay, that was level 1. Now you got to go to level 2. Verse 8 again says, but now you also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds, right? So now you also have to take up to another level with the fruits of the Spirit, and letting those things to now be your desires to push through, as opposed to how you used to live. You was a short fuse, you was hot-headed, you was rash with the mouth. You can say, oh, I don't fornicate no more, but you still have those types of qualities and characteristics. You got to now mortify those things as well. You can't be swift to anger and wrath and malice. You now have to develop patience. You now have to develop temperance, which talks about in the book of Galatians as far as for the fruits of the Spirit. Was that Galatians 5? Right? Now the fruits of the Spirit have to push through and not these things. It says the same thing in 1 Peter's. I think it's 1 Peter's chapter 2. 1 Peter's 2:1. Where it says, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisy and envies and all evil speakings, right? So you have to lay those things aside. You have to mortify your members of those things, right? So that was 1 Peter 2:1. And then as far as for what things you now need to fill in its place, that's Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22 to 23, where it says in Galatians 5:22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, right? That's where the patience comes in. Gentleness, goodness, faith. A lot of times when somebody transgresses against you or causes, some type of an offense, we hold a grudge for a long time. Right? We're not long suffering. The Most High is long suffering with us, and we want the Most High to be long suffering with us. But when it comes to your fellow brother or sister, you don't have the same patience with them that you want the Most High to have with you. So this is what you now, when you remove all the malice and evil speaking and all that, you want to fill it with these fruits of the Spirit. Then it says in verse 23, meekness, temperance, against such there is no law, because these things are a gem to behold. Temperance being like self-control, right? Being able to control your spirit or control your desires. You may not have to have everything that you desire. Do I have self-control? Can I, make sure that, I don't go overindulge in certain things, whether carnal or even spiritual or mental, right? So these are the things that we now need to make sure that we don't allow our hands to pollute our spirit, meaning action, doing certain things that's going to cause hell for you in the long run. But quiet.
Even after we put all that, even the fruit of the Spirit, now there's another step that we got to strive to. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2. Verse 3 to 5.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 3 to 5.
After we put on the fruit of the Spirit, now we striving for this. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushua Mashiach. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. And if a man also strive for masteries, yet is he not crowned except he strive lawfully. So which means even when we put all these things, put the fruit of the Spirit, now we still got to walk for the mastery. As if someone is going to compete, right, for a crown. Now you have to make sure that you exercise, you don't eat certain food, you don't consume too much alcohol, you don't do drugs, because when they test you, you got to make sure you abide by the law. When you win, now you win on good merit, right? So it's the same way in the scriptures. You got to stay in the scriptures and keep following and endure to the end.
Okay. So let's continue back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 14. So like verse 13. It says, for God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living. Right? So he says he made not death. You might be like, oh, how the Most High made not death? I mean, it's death. So he had to made it, right? It had to be something that was instituted. I don't know. This is confusing. How do you say he made not death? So then where did it come from? Right? Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 29. So it says, the Most High made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living. So Ecclesiastes 7:29 in the Bible, not the Apocrypha, it says, lo, this only have I found, that the power hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions, right? So now it says that the Most High made man to be upright, to be righteous, right? To follow his will. But through temptation, the desires, they have sought out many other inventions to go out looking outside of the Most High's will or his law. Now, just like a parent with a child is not in the parent's desire to say, I want to just be beating my doggone child at every whim. No, right? When we was growing up, when they used to hear that saying, did not tell you such and such. Now, this is going to hurt me more than it's hurting you, right? And you say to yourself, how the heck is it hurting you? I mean, hurting you more than it's hurting me. I'm the one that's getting spanked, because that's not what their desires were. They didn't want to see you go off. They didn't want to see you disrespect their authority. They didn't want to see you go and choose another person's direction over them. Now, that is a judgment or a punishment because you didn't do that was right. It's not in the desire of the parent to always want to be beating. They'd rather have you obey. Like it says in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So now death is instituted as a punishment. But the Most High didn't make that to be the priority, to be the thing, right? To be what he desired for man, specifically speaking here to Israel, right? That wasn't his intention. It was a judgment, right?
And that's one of the reasons why, no matter how much we see people die in front of us in our lifetime, that's something we can never get used to, because that's the last thing that the Most High, instituted as a, that's the worst of punishment. Even though he has the power to bring you back again, but to the man and the woman alive, they still cannot deal with it.
Right. It's supposed to be a deterrent.
Right.
Right. That's the key. Same thing with certain judgments of the law. It's supposed to be a deterrent. So when the Lord says, if a man lay down with another man as he would with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination and they should be put to death. Right. That's the judgment. But it was a deterrent. You're like, what? To death? What do you mean? Yeah, stoning with stones. And you look at the horrific image of somebody getting there. Sometimes I think I saw online years ago. What was that? I forgot the other internet that we used to have back in the day, but they used to show Ishmael stoning somebody. And they went and grabbed somebody and they put him in the dirt to the point where the top half of their body was out the dirt, but they was bound. He was like sitting there. They bound him up, put him in there, and then they had people standing there and they just throw him, and they were just hitting him in the head. Bow, bow. I'm watching this. I'm like, dang. So imagine if you was a part of that family, that culture living there, and you saw how they was just now about to put that person to death, whatever the reason is, and they skull getting cracked open, right? And people just launching stones, boom, boom, and you're like, ah, man, the blood pouring. I'm like, yo, this is crazy, right? But I'm pretty sure in the beginning, they didn't want to have that happen to that person. It wasn't just wicked that they wanted that. That was the choice that person made, and that was their fate. So it was like the same thing here. The Most High says, I said, don't lie down with the animal like you would with a woman. You wanted to go do bestiality. I gotta take you away from here so that no one else, that little leaven that you just planted in other people's minds, doesn't grow. So now I got to take you out so that they will be afraid to say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be the next one caught up there, bound in the dirt, and getting stones hurled at me and my head cracked open, right? So it was not the intent for the Most High to do this. This was a deterrent. It was supposed to allow you to be afraid to do those things.
I got a scripture. Go.
Fun.
Ezekiel 18, 31, 32.
Ezekiel chapter 18, verses 31 to 32.
So Ezekiel 18, 31. Cast away from you all your transgressions, whereby ye had transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel?
Mm-hmm.
For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, saith the Lord God. Wherefore turn yourselves and live ye.
Excellent. Right. So that's Ezekiel 18, 31 and 32. I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth. Right. It is hurtful, but the Most High has to do it. Right. So turn from death unto life. But like we read in Jeremiah, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to go and choose death over life. And it's hurtful. That's why the Lord says when a sinner gets converted from his way, the angels rejoice. Right. Because the Most High didn't want to have to kill that individual. Right. Have to destroy him. Right. So the angels rejoice because they know that's the desire and will of the Father. So back to Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 14. It says, for he created all things that they might have their being, and the generation of the world were healthful, and there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth, for righteousness is immortal, right? So the Most High wanted us to be immortal. How did we become immortal? By keeping the commandments, right? If you were to keep it 100%, then you would be immortal. Go to 1 Corinthians 15.
Oh, just to go with the reference you made. Luke, for the previous chapter, Luke chapter 15, verse 7, and also verse 10.
For which reference?
About the one sinner repented more than 99 persons that need repentance, and then the other one is this joy and presence of the angels of God over one sinner that repented.
Con. What was those two? Luke 15 and 7 and 10. So again, that's Luke 15 chapter verses 7 and 10 as it pertains to the sinner that repented and converted himself, and then the angels rejoice at his conversion. So 1 Corinthians 15 and I'm going to read 52. Again, this is going for righteousness is immortal. It says, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. So this is prophetic. This is going into the last days, leading into some of the current events that's going on right now, as we see with Iran and Ishmael fighting against Amalek or Esau, right? One of the major judgments is going to be that war is going to break out. Elam and Ishmael are going to take over Israel at some point, right? And then that's what's going to kick off the Third World War, because, you know, once anything happens with Israel, somebody else has to come to their aid, and all the nations are going to convene. But then when that happens, when the Third World War kicks off because of that, when the missiles and the bombs get let loose, that's when the Most High is going to allow Christ and the angels to come and redeem Israel from the four corners of the earth. So we will not be on the earth when those missiles drop. Now, once that happens, right, it says here in verse 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, right? Because that's the last time that the alarm is going to need to be sounded to deliver Israel. So now when we're redeemed, it says, in the moment, in the twinkle of an eye, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Meaning our bodies are going to be changed, as well as our minds, because we're going to go up into the chariots, right? Yes, same way Yahushua went up into the chariot, Elijah went up into the chariot. These righteous men, even Moses, entered into the chariot on the mount. When you read it back in Exodus, we're going to go up to the chariots. But at this time, the Most High is going to change our bodies, change our minds. It says, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality, right? So we are still corrupt right now. Even though we are righteous individuals, there's still some element of sin or transgression in us, right? We're trying to mortify our members as best we can. This, again, is the proving grounds for the Most High to see his servants who is really sincere, has an unfeigned love or desire for this truth. So now this is what it's going into, that now once we get to that point, the Most High has made a decision. I got my 144,000. I've now made sure who the 1/3 is, or he already knew who the 1/3 is. But now they've solidified themselves. They have been sealed. So now they're going to go and be delivered, and they're going to be changed. The body's going to be changed. The mind's going to be changed. Why? Because it says, verse 53, but this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. That means you're going to fulfill what's written in Hebrews, the 8th chapter, and the 8th verse of Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, as far as for the law being put in our inward parts, right? And we will not have to teach anyone anymore saying, know the Lord, or know this law, or this breakdown. It's going to be in our inward parts. So if it's going to be in our inward parts, we're not going to be subject to sin. And then that's when we will become fully ingrained in immortality. Reading in verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, right? So at the time when those missiles are about to drop, Yahushua is going to go out and send out the angels and redeem them from the four corners of the earth, right? I forget that movie. They were showing like beams of light being taken up off the earth into these chariots. As the missiles about to drop, Most High said in Yahushua to deliver them. I think Knowing was one. Yeah, Knowing was a good one. In that movie, Knowing, it showed how it was being taken up off the earth, right? And that is going to be a portion of this fulfillment. One of the good things is, I meant to do a class, is just going into all of the scriptures pertaining to those last events, right? Not just Elam, but also with the 10 horns, what the 10 horns are going to go through, Gog and Magog, and then Israel, what things Israel is going to go through in those last moments, right? We're reading a portion of it right here as far as for what's going to happen with us in that day. But there's a whole sequence of events that the Most High is scattered throughout the scriptures to paint the picture of what's going to happen in those last days and hours, right? So it says again in verse 54, so when this corruptible shall I put on incorruption, and this mortal shall I put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. So just like how we said the Most High didn't make death, death will then be swallowed up by Israel, and Israel alone, because Israel are the ones who was given the promise to have the law in our inward parts. But the other nations are still going to be subject to sin, which means they're going to also be subject to the judgment of death. Thus saith the Most High, right? So in order to get this fulfilled in us, you now have to try to, as we said earlier, mortify your members, right? Day by day, pick out some of those things that Paul wrote in Colossians, as far as for those evils that we do, whether it be concupiscence, fornication, whatever different types of lust there are, and then also work on your malice, your anger, your impatience, right? Your hastiness, all those different types of things you now also have to work on. Now, as much as you work on those things, or we work on those things, we now make ourselves better options for the first string, right? Because we want to be the first string, right? We want to make it in the first wave. Everybody's not making it in the first wave, right? All Israel's not making it out of Babylon, right? The 1/3 and the elect are going to be the ones honored with glory in that day. That's it. So, but you got to make sure that you are worthy to be selected to fulfill this here, right? Go to Philippians. Yeah, we're talking about this immortality. Go to Philippians, I think it's chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2. And chapter 3. It's a lot. Philippians chapter 3 and verse 21. So Philippians 3 and 21, it says, actually, I'm sorry, at 20. It says, for our conversation is in heaven, right? Meaning we speak heavenly things. We speak of the righteousness of the Most High, meaning that is our desires to fulfill what the Most High wants. So those words should be coming out more than anything else, right? Because that's what your thoughts are. It's your mind is. For our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, or the anointed Savior. Verse 21. Who shall change our vile body, right? Who shall change our vile body? Because the body or the vessels, the temple that we have right now is defiled. It is polluted. We have different types of sicknesses. Some of us have cancers. Some of us have all different kind of ailments that's in this physical carnal body, right? As well as the spiritual, right? So Christ is going to change our vile body that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, right? That is going to make us become what? Immortal. I'm going to say make us become immortality, but make us become immortal. According to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself, right? The Most High has given him the authority to now rule and judge the earth. He's been given that authority to subdue everything, right? Even to now be the captain, the host over all Israel, and then set up the hierarchy under him, right? Kun. So like Akbar Tazan says, subdue yourselves, mortify your members. All right, let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 1 and verse 15 again, where it says, for righteousness is immortal, right? The keeping of the law is pure, is perfect. That is what makes you immortal. Verse 16, but ungodly men with their works and words called it to them. But when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught and made a covenant with it because they are worthy to take part with it, right? So now you're going to go into ungodly. When you read into the next chapter, it's going to go into these ungodly men. Now, when you read throughout the durations of Wisdom of Solomon, it's really going to be going into the nations or the other nations, knowing that Israel ourselves, we can be ungodly based on our actions. But as we read through this, ungodly, wicked people are the other nations. The righteous is Israel. Even though within the nation of Israel, you may have it where we're not always righteous, we don't always do the law. The Most High makes the distinction between who are the righteous and who are the ungodly, right? Go to Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12. And verse 26. Proverbs 12:26 says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, right? The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. The righteous is Israel. Why? Because the Most High said it will be to our righteousness when we keep the law. The law was only given to Israel, right? But it says, but the way of the wicked seduceth them, meaning tempts us to draw away from the righteousness to follow their iniquities or their evil ways. So the righteous is Israel, the wicked is the other nations, but the wicked is really going into Esau or Edom when you read it in Malachi, the 1st chapter, verses 1-3, Job 9:24, so forth and so on, paints the picture and lets us know out of all wicked nations of people, Esau is the wicked. Romans, the 9th chapter, lets us know that he was made for destruction. That's the Most High's will. Not Samats, not Kahan Pequads. Like there's no one who was there and telling the Most High, no, Most High, you should make him that way. You should make him that way, right? That was how the Lord did it. Thus saith the Lord, right? So as we read, and it's going to this distinction between the righteous and the ungodly, it's going into how we were viewed. All right. Go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, and verse 15. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, and verse 15, it says, she delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them. Right, so this is going back into when we was in the land of Egypt, right? She delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them. She entered into the soul of the servant of the Lord and withstood dreadful kings and wonders and signs. So she is wisdom, and now this is going into how it has been personified, how the Most High was dealing with the righteous people Israel, and at that time an ungodly nation. Right? It says, verse 17, rendered to the righteous a reward of their labors and guided them in a marvelous way and was unto them for a cover by day and a light of stars in the night season. Right? We talk about how the cloud was a pillar of fire by day. A cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. It's talking about the same thing here. Verse 18, brought them through the Red Sea and led them through much waters. But she drowned their enemies and cast them up out of the bottom of the deep. Therefore, the righteous spoiled the ungodly and praised thy holy name, O Lord, and magnified with one accord thine hand that fought for them. For wisdom openeth the mouth of the dumb and made the tongues of them that cannot speak eloquent. Going into how the Most High dealt with Moses and Aaron, right? So the righteous is speaking about Israel. The ungodly is dealing with the other nations, right? And out of the ungodly of the other nations, the wickedest of all is Edom, according to the scriptures. All right. So I needed to make sure we understand when we're reading some of these things that the nations are them, but even some of our own people are seduced by the nations to now take upon ourselves some of their qualities. But we have been the seed that the Most High chose to be righteous, right? All right, so now let's go back. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and verse 1. It says, for the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, right? So these nations, these other ungodly people, right? They're speaking of how we now been seduced into thinking of this new term, YOLO. You only live once, right? Once you go, that's it, right? You ain't coming back.
One life to live.
one life to live, man. So you might as well go out and wild out and do what you need to do right now. Getting while the getting is good. Now we know through the scriptures there have been many people that have come back from death or the grave, right? Not even just Yahushua, but there have been others during the time of Elijah, during the time of Elisha. There have been several, many men that have been used as vessels to go and raise someone else back from the dead, right? So what they're saying is they're ignorant of the Most High's power. They're ignorant of what the Lord has done already in the earth. So this is from a worldly perspective. And like I said, right now, even some of our own people think the same way. You gonna say something? Verse 2, for we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and with a little spark in the moving of our heart, right? For we here just for a time. We was born at a chance, right? All of a sudden, right now, somebody's in the hospital delivering a baby, and it's here, right? We don't know what that baby's going to grow up to be, but whatever it is, that's it. Once that person dies, that's it. It's like smoke. You see it right now, and all of a sudden, fans itself out and it's gone, right? And making the comparison that that's what life is. Verse 3, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air, right? We know that to be erroneous because in Ecclesiastes 12:7, it says, ash, dust to dust, but the spirit shall go to the Father who gave it, right? Ecclesiastes 12:7. That's the cycle that the Most High has put on the earth. But now when you go to other nations' knowledge or other deities' knowledge, they don't have this understanding because the Most High did not give that to them. Now, what if somebody says, oh, well, in Buddhism, they do believe in the resurrection. That's why I follow Buddhism. So we have something in common. No, no, we don't have something in common just because you believe in that. You have a whole bunch of other things that's done that's evil or wicked according to the Most High's law, right? So we have it where we know that these things that the ungodly say, and some of us probably have said these things in the world, right? You probably had this lifestyle because it tells you in Titus, the 3rd chapter, that we was all once deceived, following all different kind of deceit and wickedness and foolishness. We all felt this way. So there was probably a time where he was like, you know what? Yeah, I got to make the most of it right now. I got to get it when the getting is good. And then you come into the truth. And then you learn about regeneration of the spirit. And you're like, wow, I never knew this. This is heavy. Now you're trying to say that I'm going to have, my spirit come back later on. And what I do now is also going to be a benefit to that. Like if I do righteous deeds, then Most High can even reward me when I come back in the future. Or if I do evil or wicked deeds, the Most High can judge me later on. If he hasn't judged me now, he can judge me to my 3rd or 4th generation. Yes. Wow. So it does matter what I do. I cannot think of myself as just being here for just now, and I can just do what I want because no one will remember me or I will not come back. That is erroneous, right? According to the Most High's will. It says in verse 4, our name shall be forgotten in time, right? So if you did great things, go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 41. Ecclesiasticus 41 and verse 11. Start at 10. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 41 and verse 10. It says, all that are of the earth shall turn earth again. So the ungodly shall go from a curse to destruction, because that's the normal cycle of how the Most High has man in the earth. All that are in the earth at some point will go back to the earth again, right? It says, the mourning of men is about their bodies, but an ill name of sinners shall be blotted out, right? So if you have an ill name, an evil name, a wicked name, the Most High says that's blotted out of his book of life, and that's blotted out from the memorial that Israel won't speak of you again. But it says here in verse 12, have regard to thy name, for that shall continue with thee above 1,000 great treasures of gold. So now have some regard of how people perceive you, right? When they speak your name, right? Take deep consideration of how people talk about you. That goes into your communication. That goes into your behaviors. You don't want to always, people talking about, oh yeah, he's a lush. He's an alcoholic. He's a little too touchy-feely. He always, his eyes be all over the girl. Every time he come in the doggone room, he looking the girl up. You don't want to have people behind your back speak about you with an ill name. So it says, have regard about your name. It says, for that shall continue with thee above 1,000 great treasures of gold. Why? Because it says a good life have but few days, right? So you can live a good life right now. You can live a righteous life. You can do great things for the Most High and only live like Yahushua 33 years, right? Only a short period of time. But it says, but a good name endureth forever, right? So your name is going to endure forever, like we read about a sister named Judith, right? Like we read about Susanna, like we read about Joshua, like we read about Yahushua, Paul. All of these different persons had a good name that we still read about today, right? So when the ungodly only think about right now, they're not thinking about tomorrow. They're not thinking about the judgment of the Most High. We now hold firm to this truth and say, nah, they not right, right? We're going to still maintain a good name until Yahushua come, so that in the kingdom, they can read about Kahan Nabiyah. In the kingdom, they can read about Elder Zaquan. In the kingdom, they can read about Akwat Aliyah Aina. Like, yo, man, she did great things for the people. That's what you want, right? Your name precedes you. Kahan?
It's like when we're reading Wisdom of Solomon in the 2nd chapter. Wisdom is giving us a heads up on the philosophy of how people in the world, how they think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps them going. That's how they conduct their lives. But little do they know, the godly lives forever. The godly, there's no death for the ungodly, because you're going to live in the kingdom forever and ever to eternity. But people in this world, they say one life to live, you know, you see you breathing now, next thing you know, you're sick and you go to the hospital, you're gone. So that's their mindset. Yes, to a certain degree, that's what it looks like. But on the foundation of how the Most High create things, the children of the Most High who follow his law, statutes, and commandments, they live forever.
Exactly.
So that's the bigger picture.
Exactly. And we'll be immortal. You know, those who make it out in the first wave, you know, the prophecy says 1,000 years should they reign with Yahushua. Khan?
Yeah, and you see with Esau, their first empire with the Greeks, Alexander kind of being the poster child for that, to where you see the attitude carry on throughout their people, throughout their empires. Even Julius Caesar with the Roman Empire, you read about his story. He was like admiration turned to jealousy looking at Alexander and saying, man, look how much he got done by early 30s. I'm in my 40s and still haven't done all the conquering he's done. You know, beat himself up over it. But that's like the flip, the inverse, where it's like, but look at how you're living your life. You're living your life full of debauchery and excess, and you could have lived a lot longer had you lived differently, even though you conquered and did a lot of things as far as that's concerned. But it just shows Esau is they're looking to live forever, but their process has them die young time and time again. They die to death instead of really living the life that they try to claim.
Gun. So back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and verse 4. Again, it says, our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away by the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. Man, so Most High is going very descriptive as to the perspective of how the ungodly thinks as it pertains to a man's life in this world, right? But then it says in verse 5, for our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For fast it is sealed, so that no man cometh again, right? So we know that to be incorrect based on Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, right? Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, and Ecclesiastes 6 and 10. Because Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 says, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, right? So it's speaking of past tense to future tense, right? We'll read that again. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So if you have a Bible like mine, the thing is italicized because it's now speaking about something specific, right? It's not talking about the inventions of man, right? It's not talking about cars and cell phones and satellites and things of that nature. It's not saying, well, they had chariots on wheels back then. They had cars. They had that's what it's talking about. No, when you go to Ecclesiastes 6 and 10, the thing that have been is speaking about, it says in Ecclesiastes 6 and 10, that which have been is named already, and it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he. So that man is the thing. The spirit that dwells in man is that which have been. The Most High created all spirits already from the beginning, right? So the thing that have been is that which shall be, meaning it will return in the earth. Here the ungodly says that there's no man that's coming again. Once you die, that's it. But the Most High says that no, you will come again. That will be you again in the future. So it is what they call reincarnation in the world, but in the spirit or in the Bible, it is the regeneration of man, or the regeneration of the spirit to come back again. You was already here from the past.
And also, when we hear the regeneration of spirit, it means also the regeneration of the old ways, the old philosophy that men lived by back then. So it's the same thing that's being regenerated again. And that's why Yahushua said in John 6 and 63, it is the spirit that quickeneth. The word that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So those same philosophy of those worshiping back then, it's the same thing that's regenerated,
right?
And those bodies that men occupy today, it's the same philosophy, the same word, or lying spirit that's pretty much in
right. Because that's why even today when we speak about, we see all these debates, it got the quote unquote conscious community, right? You got different brothers and sisters that's of different type beliefs and ideologies. They had that also in the past, right? During the times of Paul, they had different groups who was about knowledge and wisdom, and I'm going to learn this, I'm going to read all these books, and they would go and debate and see what kind of information you're dealing with. Now, it's not shocking that we have the same thing going today, because those are the same spirits from before, right? And that's why usually sometimes people make a reference to them having like a form of deja vu, like they've heard this before, they've been here before, I know you from somewhere. It's like, oh, I don't know why. But the scriptures in Ecclesiastes says their remembrance of those former things is going to be going away. It's going to be taken away, right? So it's like a token to say, hey, this is how the Most High made the earth self-sustaining from everything. We were talking about this down at the Feast of Tabernacles in North Carolina, how even the trees, you look at all these trees, who's planting all these trees? Who planted all these trees? The Most High. Now, where there's like no man living, everything is already self-sustaining. The Most High has it where, the tree can live for 200 years and all of a sudden the tree dies. Most High has another one coming up. No man is toiling or tilling the earth. It's doing it on its own accord. The Most High has made everything in a cycle, self-sustaining. Sure, you can just say, I'm going to plant a fruit tree in this area here for the purpose of us eating fruit. But now where man is not even dwelling, those things already have its being, right? So now let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 6. It says, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth, right? Because, you know, you want to enjoy. Sometimes people want to enjoy before they get old, right? You want to do it as you was in your youth, right? When you was young, you can run around and do certain things. So you have to go out there and try to make the most of it because time is going to be short. That mentality does not have you properly plan for the kingdom, right? You're not properly planning for the kingdom to come. You're only thinking about what is in front of me. You're not even considering the judgment that may come to you later on. Like in St. John, the 9th chapter, those disciples knew when they saw the man that was born blind, that could have been a judgment that the Most High put upon him for a past sin in another life, because he was born that way. He hadn't done a transgression in that life yet to receive that fate. So they knew that. We are now seduced by the heathen to now remove this knowledge from our nation. That's why the beauty of coming back into these classes and going through these scriptures now allows us to now come back to the truth of the Most High through the testimony, right? So you have the laws, then you have the testimonies, right? The laws govern how certain things are. Then you get to the testimony, like how Yahushua said when they came to Yahushua or Christ and said, why did they say Elijah must first come? And Yahushua said, they spoke true. He must first come. I'll tell you that he's come already, right? And you're like, wait, what? I missed that. What was going on? So now that's a testimony in the scriptures to prove and solidify what we read about in Exodus, the 20th chapter, and I think the 3rd and 4th verse, as far as for how you come back in your future generations, because Yahushua testified of it, right? And the men were witnesses of it. And now we can read about that and confirm the Most High's words is true, and then also apply that to our lives where we can say, yo, I always thought that. I always felt that. Sometimes I don't know. It makes sense now, and the Most High has proven it through Scripture, because I believe the Most High's judgment to be true, right? So when it's speaking about now enjoying the good things that are present and not considering the future, right? We're building for the future. We're storing up treasures for the future. It says in verse 7. Oh, Salah.
Yeah, just to kind of balance the whole Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, which we see in the scripture speak to them as far as them being figures for those empires. You look at the visions of the prophets. When it comes to us, the Most High, he takes his time with us where he'll groom us before he's ready for us to take on a certain position. And it won't be rushed like it is a lot of times with Esau, where he's promoting in his magazines, top 20 under 20, top 30 under 30, right? People read those magazines and get envious and go, oh, I should be doing more in this world with talents that I have, right? How come I haven't hit it big yet with my talents? Whereas you look at our patriarchs and matriarchs, like a David, where it wasn't until he was, 37, going on 40, before the Most High was like, okay, now I'm ready to have you become king over all the nation. Or Moses, even more so, where he took 80 years to prepare Moses, right? 40 years in Egypt, 40 years in Midian, right? Where he lived the life and, luxury, if you will, and then also lived life kind of like you brothers were down in North Carolina, like just kind of living, off the land and, with tents and, going digging wells and things like that, to where by the time he was 80 years old, the Most High said, okay, now I'm ready to use you for my work. That's like unheard of. When people talk about 80 years now as if like, oh man, I'm lucky to even make it to 80. Right? Even Psalms 90 talks about that, man's life being 70 years and 10. But imagine that, 80 years old, now you're ready to begin the true mission.
Right, and it's funny
how long the Most High can take with things.
How long the Most High can take with things, and then how the Most High can work with you. Because even when they was at that point, they was like, yo, we're not of an eloquent speech. And the Most High can now also put a spirit in you to allow you to speak fluent or speak in a certain language, or give you might so that you can now perform a certain duty, right? Because you said Moses was 80 years old. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 19. 2 Samuel chapter 19. And verse, I'll start at 33. 2 Samuel 19 and 33, right? As pertains to when you're up there in age. Moses was 80, you know, how when you get of a certain age, the assumption or the presumption is you're way past your years, right? You're not in your youth to do certain things, but the Most High used Moses, and we could then look at and see how the Most High really used Moses to now fulfill certain things. It says here, 2 Samuel 19:33, and the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, how long have I to live, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto my lord the king? Right? He's like, look, I'm 80 years old, man. What am I gonna do? I can't even discern who's that singing. I don't even know, man. What is that? What do they talk about? Right? What is this food? I don't know if it's apples or oranges. Like I'm losing my mind here. I don't want to be a burden unto you. I'm going to have people take care of me and do. So that's what happens when you get up in age on most occurrences, where you're not going to have the same energy or mind or wit to do certain things. So when the Most High used Moses, even though he was 80, the Most High will use you. He can give you a spirit according to his desires to have you fulfill his will, right? Or you can't talk. I'm going to give you the spirit of speech or interpretation, and you're going to be able to speak fluently. You didn't have that before. Same thing like how he did with Saul. He put the spirit in Saul, and he was a prophet. He wasn't a prophet before, but now he can go prophesy, right? Samson, Most High gave him the spirit of might, so he can go fight against the Philistines, right? He might not have been as strong and powerful before, but the Most High wanted him to use for a certain purpose. He had a spirit in him to fulfill that will or desire. So the Lord will use and work with the Holy Spirit to give you what it is he wants you to do. Same thing in 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, right? 1 Corinthians 12. 1 Corinthians 12 and 3. Right? 1 Corinthians 12 and 3 says, wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaketh by the spirit of power, or God calleth Jesus accursed, and that no man can say that Jesus, or Yahushua in the Hebrew, is the Lord, but by the Holy Ghost, which is the same as the Holy Spirit. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administration, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. So of the Holy Spirit, you have different gifts, different administrations, meaning this person may have that spiritual power or gift, and he may be over this authority. That brother may have that gift, and now he may be over this position or authority. All come from the Holy Spirit, right? Then it says, but the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit. Verse 10, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues. We're talking about being able to speak. To another the interpretation of tongues, like Daniel being able to break down and interpret and convey the sense to somebody else. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, different, dividing to every man severally as he will. Now, when it says severally, it means that he's going to be able to now give it to whom he desires, right? You get this, you get that, right? And no man can look and say, well, how come he can interpret and I got faith, right? Why do I get faith? I want to interpret. The Most High had a certain plan for you to use faith. You don't see it right now, but trust me, it's going to come a time where that spirit of faith is going to come in handy, right? We don't know sometimes why the Most High blesses us or gives us certain gifts, but use it to the best of your ability. Hence the parable of the token that Christ gave in the gospel, right? He's given different tokens out to different men. And now you are supposed to use that token with usury to go and do good things with it, right? So that is the same thing as far as for the administration of these gifts of the Spirit, all right? Now,
that goes along with what Kahan read earlier in 2 Timothy 3 concerning the masteries. That's what it's going into here.
Kahan. All right. So let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon. It was a bit of a detour on the spirits, right? Let's go. We're at verse 7 now. Verse 7 says, let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. So your desires is going to be what? Always filling yourself with expensive wine. Back in the day, was it Cristal and all this? Go spend hundreds of dollars on the best wines, right? That's living. That's living. Costly ointments. You get this fragrance, and people are like, wow, look at him. He's drinking the best wine. Look at it, smells good. He's what is it? He's making it rain all over the place. Man, this guy's living. He's having a good life, right? That's to the carnal man when they see these things. Not to say that it's anything bad to have some good wine or to have, a nice ointment or smell good on your body. But when that becomes your desires, that's your, what ruling or your treasure, then it's vanity at that point, right? It says, verse 8, let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. For this is our portion, and our lot is this. We want to make our mark. We're going down to Miami, and when we leave Miami, they're gonna know we was there, right? We're gonna tear the spot up, right? We're gonna leave our mark on that place, right? And it's gonna all be revelings, right? Not that you could go to these places and have a good time, but when most people go, they want to just wild out, right? And that should not be the case. You should do everything with wisdom, right? Make sure you separate certain days that are holy to the Lord and don't want to wild out on those days. Have your own day to do certain things. Do it in moderation. But again, no, we have to go and make this, have our part with voluptuousness, right? We got to make it like it's going out of fashion, right? We got to really take advantage, right? Verse 10, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged. So now this is going into how these ungodly prey on the weak, right? And we could look at our people as a recipient of this and how we've been taken advantage of. The poor righteous man, going back to coming out of slavery, how we were not given the same benefits as others, right? Back then, they began to understand that we were different from all other nations on the planet Earth. If they didn't know that we were the Jews or the Hebrews, they still recognized something different in us, and they suppressed and oppressed us far more than anyone else. Even those who they were going to war with, they were able to come over here and get benefits that was not given to our people. Getting loans and benefits and grants and certain things. And you scratch your head and be like, yo, but we was helping you fight against them. How do they come over here and get benefits? It makes no sense, right? But again, in their mind, the way the Lord created them, this is their spirit. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Who is the righteous man? Again, it is talking about Israel, right? Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. And they are, especially when we look at today, most people say you can judge a nation, judge a kingdom, but by how the poor and the elderly are treated, right? That's what they normally will say. You can judge a people based on how the poor and the ancient or elderly have been treated, right? If they are not well taken care of, or they don't have provisions that's there for them, they don't have certain law. Like with the Most High, he even put it in our law. You're a farmer, make sure you don't glean the corners of your crops. Leave it for the poor, the stranger, so that they have food to eat, right? That they can just go and freely get food. We was talking about this at the this week when we was down in North Carolina, how Esau has it where 90% of all trees are trees that don't bear fruit, so that they can make a monopoly on forcing you to go to them and buy fruit from the stores, right? Whereas you may go to other countries, you could just walk somewhere, there's a tree right down the street. You just go get the fruit and just eat it. Just eat it, right? You can't do that here. Hanukkah said, listen, that she has certain trees on her backyard that they came in and looked and said, what type of tree is that? And it says, you can't have that tree. Cut it down. What kind of thing is this? Why can't I have a tree that's freely yielding fruit that I can eat? Anybody can. You want some of this? Come get it. No problem. Right? Most High made this. Right? Come get it. You can't even do that no more. So they oppress people based on their policies.
And that's why you see people in the West with food that don't bear fruit. That's why you have allergies. Allergy season, the male tree is supposed to pollinate it, the female trees. Because
Right.
you don't have that, it's all fall on humans.
Yeah.
You're looking for places to go, and then it gets into your system, and then allergy season all over the place. And the pharmaceutical industry line up to make money off.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's a calculated system to make people dependent upon the ungodly man, pretty much, in all facets, right? They control the diet, they control the medicine. It's a monopoly in all of it, right? When you look at it, it's a control system. And that's why certain things that's out of our control, we as Brother Lab Tawab always says that we endure, we persevere, because sometimes, having a knowledge of this is one thing, but also the Most High will also test your faith to overcome, right? That's one of the promises that Yahushua had in Revelations, that he's that overcome. If you overcome, you have all of this, right? My overcome may be different from your overcome, his overcome, her overcome. Everybody's path is different. But if we overcome the wiles of the Satan, the temptations of the devil, man, what is promised for us? It's hard to see it right now when you're going through certain things, but verse 11, it says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth, right? So it says, let our strength be the law of justice. So the strength of the ungodly, guess what? Is the law. Just like it says in 1 Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians 15 and 1 Corinthians 15 and 56. First Corinthians 15:56 says, the sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law, right? So the strength of sin is the law. And as it's stating here, let our strength be the law of justice, right? So now what do they do with that? Go to Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. And verse 25. So like Daniel chapter 7 and 125. What's the one? Yes, 7:25. I'm looking at 8. 7:25. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. So the strength of sin is the law, right? So what do they look to do? Change times and laws. To do what? Wear out the saints. Who are the saints? Israel, right? So now they have changed the law, altered the law. There's nothing wrong with eating swine pig. You can eat that. It's just other white meat, right? There's nothing wrong with eating frog's legs. It tastes like chicken. It tastes just like chicken. Try it, right? So they want to change these things to now have us continually in sin, continuously going through a punishment or a judgment of the Most High, because sin is what they're using. If they continue, just like how Kaya said in Judith, if they continue in breaking the Most High's commandments, we could do what we want with them, right? We could still be their overseers, their lords, their oppressors. If not, if they now start keeping these laws and they God defend them, there's nothing you can do. So if you're on the other side, if you are heathen, you would understand why it is their intent to make you stray away from the law. You have to know your opponent. You have to know their strengths and their weaknesses, right? You have to know what their calculations are going to be, or their strategy is going to be, and how they're going to fight against you, right? If you don't, you're going in blind. So it's in every war, everybody tries to have intel or intelligence or information about their opponent, right? You want to know at least a little bit of something, so how I am able to fight. The Most High has given us the intelligence on Satan, the devil, and how he fights, what he uses to tempt us, how he tempts us. And then he's given us the answers on how to fight against it, right? So that's what they use, the law, to the best of their ability to cause us to sin. So let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon.
It's crazy too, like you're bringing out, and the fact that it uses their metal as iron when it talks about that last empire. So I used to make this joke once we talk about like they talk about the golden rule, and we're looking around. We said they got their own rule. We call it the iron rule. You know, coming to the truth, they looking back on. I'm like, oh, we didn't realize what we were saying. You know, which was the joke was, yeah, do unto others as you would do unto them because you can, right? And what are you gonna do afterwards? What are you gonna do about it? Like that's pretty much their strength,
right?
You know, the whole might makes right.
So reading on, wow, it's almost done. It was this late. So reading on, it says, verse 12. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with the offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgression of our education, right? So this is, let us lie in wait for the righteous. So they're going to become a prey unto us, right? They figure out the craftiness of how to cause us to sin through media, through their form of education, through religion, through politics, right? All of these things they have now done in order to do what? Lie in wait and now come and oppress us, right? Because they see what we see, that they're not right. So we're going to lie and wait for them. We're going to try to catch them up, right? We're going to now try to seduce them into doing iniquity. Go to Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs chapter 1 and 10. So it says in Proverbs 1 and 10, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay in wait for blood, or lay wait for blood, let us lurk privately for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance, and we shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot amongst us. Let us all have one purse. My son, Walk not thou in the way with them, refrain thy foot from their path, right? Because that's how the ungodly operate today, right? They prey upon the weak. So they said, listen, come run with us and we'll make you rich, right? But how you become rich is by preying on the widows, the fatherless, those who don't have anyone to be their advocate, and you take from them. But you see some of these people today, they have nice mansions and houses and all kind of things. And you're like, wow. And you start to envy that. Like, yo, I got to follow. But the way in which they got that, it was taking advantage of those who are poor. Right. And sometimes I would say a portion of them are ignorant. They may not know that the company or the business that they're dealing with is now doing this to the people. And there's others that do. Right? There's others that do because they desire to have that lifestyle, desire to have that position, that fame so much. If you have the same spirit as the ungodly, then, hey, that's just how it is. I still got to take advantage of what I'm doing right now. I ain't going to be here long. When I die, that's it. Who's going to judge me after I die?
I don't do it, somebody else.
If I'm going to do it, somebody else do. That's what Amalek said, right? When he was over there in Israel, the man was complaining about him trying to steal his house. He said, listen, if I don't take your house, somebody else is going to take your house. So I'm going to take your house right now, right? So it's like, look, if I don't do it right now, somebody else is going to do it. I'm going to live it up, and then I die, and that's it. I ain't coming back.
So-called the dog-eat-dog world.
Dog-eat-dog world.
What they say, they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
I like that one. That's funny. So now going back, it says in verse 13, it says, he professeth to have the knowledge of the power. He is talking about Israel, the righteous man. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord, right? We are the sons of the living power. Exodus 4:22, Deuteronomy 7:6, so forth and so on. We are those chosen of the Lord. Verse 14, he was made to reprove or correct, it says, our thoughts, right? We go and condemn and show all the wickedness that is being done. He is grievous even unto us to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion, right? So we're not like no other nation of people. They don't have the same customs and laws that we have. And others see that, right? And they envy or they look down upon because we are so elevated by the Most High, right? So when it says he is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. What are those ways? Go to Deuteronomy chapter 5. His ways are of another fashion. What is it? Is our ways because we can rap real good? We can sing real good, right? Give me that old classic Patti LaBelle. Ain't nobody sing like Patti. Is that what the ways are? It says in Deuteronomy chapter 5:33, ye shall walk in all the ways which the Lord your power hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. So the ways of the Most High is the keeping of his commandments. Everybody else don't have the ways. They don't know that way. They know their own ways, right? But the Most High only gave one people his direction. So now going back, verse 16, we are esteemed of him as counterfeits, right? So the we is the ungodly. You have a lot of people that's perpetrating a fraud, right? The king of them all is Edom, Revelations 2:9, right? And we heard the abomination that has been spoken of, the blasphemy that's been spoken of, saying that they are Jews and they are not, right? Edom is the king of them all, but you have others. Ham does the same thing, right? You got Cush saying that they're the Jews, right? And you got other Hamites that's talking about, yeah, you got to be Bantu. Bantu is the real Jews, and the real land of Israel is not there. It's here in Central Africa, and this is the real. Like, what is this talking about, man? What are you going with this stuff? Everybody wants to have claim to being the chosen, but you can't be, right? It's only one nation of people, right? You can't try to put other people in there that don't belong there, right? So it says, we are esteemed, this is the ungodly, as counterfeits. Yes, they are counterfeits. They're not the real. They're ish, right? They're the ISH at the end of the word, means pertaining to, but not like the authentic or real thing. He abstained from our ways as from filthiness. I was trying to find a precept where I forgot where it was, where I think it's kind of spoke about that they didn't even want to have them with like their animals. Like, I don't want to, like, they were so detested, like to even be about being amongst their animals was like a disdain. I forgot what that precept was. It's in Job. If you can find that, that'd be good.
Oh, and Jeremiah 6 and 16 to go with Deuteronomy 5 and 33.
What does Jeremiah 6:16 say?
I'll read it real quick. Let me try to finish. Jeremiah 6 and 16, it reads, "Thus saith Yahweh, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein."
Fun. Right. So the ways is the Lord's most Father's will. Right. So, but just read that again. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. He pronounced the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that the most high power is his father. Right. That's Israel. Right. Israel makes that boast. Israel is the one that's prophesying about the end time to come. Right. Israel is the one that said that their ways are an abomination. Right. And they are the counterfeits in the earth. Verse 17. Let us see if his words be true. So that's what people are looking at. Some people are doubting and waiting to see if this is going to come to pass. But as the days keep going, the words are coming true, right? The words are coming true. We're seeing what's happening over there right now on a global scale as it pertains to the beginnings of the Third World War, right? What are they going to do? And this was, you know, if you was around, like say in the 1990s or the early 2000s, right? And you was reading these prophecies and it was like nothing really going on. Sure, they had the Iran-Contra thing and they had certain things, but there wasn't the tension that was breeding like how it is now. So now you fast forward and you say, hey, we spoke about these before, right? Y'all was focused on Afghanistan like that was going to be the third. No, Afghanistan wasn't going to. Even Biden said 2 years ago the war over in Ukraine wasn't going to be the Third World War, and he was right. The war in Ukraine wasn't going to be the Third World War. It's that war that's going on right now, right? We was talking about, I think they showed how they killed, I don't know if it's the leader or one of the leaders of Hamas that they claimed to kill on Friday or Thursday. Yes, right? So these things is what the Most High had already said was going to happen before it happened, and it's happening. But they're going to see if this is going to come to fruition. So 17 again says, let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of God, Exodus 4:22, if that righteous man is the son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies, right? So when we do all these things, we want to see if his God come and help and deliver him like they said he did in Egypt, like they said he did from the Assyrians, like he said, we're going to see it, right? So they now also are trying the Most High's hand because of pride, right? Pride is lifting them up to thinking that these things is not going to happen to them. Verse 19, let us examine him with the despitefulness and torture. Damn. It says, let us examine him, right? You know the examine, so let me go check it out. But now as they are checking us out, it says that they will do it with despitefulness and torture, meaning they will not give any regard for us, right? They don't care anything about us. They're going to do it with torture. So the reason why we are going through some of the things that we see our people go through is because they want to prove us being the sons of the Lord. See if he's going to deliver them. He's going to send, what are you going to send, an angel? He's going to send an angel to come fight for them, right? And the Most High says, just wait. I'm going to build you up so high, it's going to be a harder fall than ancient Egypt's Pharaoh. It says that we may know his meekness and prove his patience, right? So that's why we're not going to go out there and act like how other groups want us to do, to go out and take arms and go fight against them. Because they said, hey, you talking about Zephaniah 3 and 8 the most, we got to wait upon the Lord. Well, let's see. Let's go and do certain things and see if we're going to break them out of character. That they're going to want to go not wait on the Lord and handle things according to their own hand, right? Let's see what's going to happen. And we do this, and all of a sudden, it's like, man, people marching, people getting upset. And what they go do? Start breaking down stores, busting up windows. Right? Where's that patience now? Look at them. They busting up windows. They busting up their own supermarkets. Look at that. They ain't got no patience. They're not the sons of God. So some of these things is to, disprove that we are those people based on our actions. But the Most High has a remnant that will follow his will. Verse 20. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. So that's why they go out and they kill us at the matter they kill us with. They don't do that to their own. They don't even do that to the other nations on a level or scale that they do this to us. But it's because of their despitefulness, as it says. So when the Lord gives us this whole chapter, this chapter is for us to learn how they think, learn how the enemy thinks, learn how the ungodly think. So when you go in certain spaces, these are thoughts that's on the mind. Somebody would say, well, it's not. I don't know. Everybody's not like that. Okay, everybody's not like that. But there are, just like how there's a grain of seed of sin in us, there's a grain of seed that may have that same thought because they're of their forefathers as well, right? So who knows? I think it was, I don't know if it was Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X. Forget which one. But they gave the analogy of the snakes. And he was talking about, there's a room full of snakes. And something to the effect of they're not all evil or poisonous snakes. But because they're all not poisonous snakes, right? You may have one or two. Are you feeling comfortable to go into that room of getting bit? You're going to say, listen, I ain't going in the room, man. I don't want to give the chance of getting bit by the poisonous snake, but I'm still going to get bit by a snake, right? I think it was Malcolm X. But the analogy was to say, yeah, you may prove that everybody may not have that same vehemency towards you as the next person, the next group, or the next town, or whatever it may be, but they are the nation that the Most High says this is going to happen, right? What are you going to choose? Are you going to always be on point, or are you going to let your guard down and be taken advantage of? You going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, once you start making concession between who's wicked and who's not wicked in Esau, you already set yourself up. Because one of them may appears as if they good, but once you attack one, but they start switching on you.
Yeah.
So you can't be like, this one is wicked and this one is good white people. It's so bad. This one is not so bad.
I mean,
You're setting yourself.
The prophecy, I think in Second Esdras either 13 or 16 talks about, when time happens, every man is going to go to his own, right? They're going to now confide with their own people, right? You're not going to be able. It's like, what's that movie? Leave the World Behind. And it was like, he thought he was his friend. He thought it was cool. He had that gauge pointing at him like, listen, you better back up off my front porch. What are you talking about? We just had barbecue last week, man. Listen, back up. That was last week. That ain't the day, right? So, yeah. He's like, listen, I'm here for my family, right? And he showed more leniency to the other dude than, of course, to the melanated brother.
Footloose for real.
Exactly. Verse.
Oh, the scripture was Isaiah 13 and verse, I think it's 13.
Was this one? Is this the one I was talking about?
Yeah.
Isaiah 13.
14. About everyone going to their own land.
Oh, that part.
Yeah.
Okay. So we said Isaiah 14 and
13 and 14.
13:14. Yes. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. Which links with 2nd Ezra. So that's Isaiah 13:14, which links with 2nd Ezra chapter chapter 15. I wanted to say chapter 15. No, that's not it. I'm looking at it as far as for a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with their sword, spoil their goods because of the lack of bread for great tribulation. There was another wording that I wanted, not that one.
Hey, was that Job 30? What was we discussing now?
I was saying that there was a precept where because it talks about how they regarded their ways as from filthiness, and it reminded me of how there was a precept that kind of spoke to them being so abominable or wicked that they wouldn't even want them to be around like their animals. And I think it wasn't Job, but I can't remember precept. If you found it, again, let me know.
It's Job 30.
Job 30 and what?
Starting at 1.
Job 30 and 1.
Yeah.
I think I found a clip too after this. It's I think it's Muhammad Ali. I found an interview too.
Khan, this is it. This is the one. The water. On point. So it says in Job chapter 30 and 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Right? So those, when it says now those that are younger than I, doesn't always mean in age, just means like strength. As far as for weaker, right? They're not on my level type thing. It says that I have me in derision, right, in confusion, and like in Babylon, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock, right? Right. That is low. Like I wouldn't even have them. I wouldn't even have them there, man. They so I disdain them or despise them so much that they're not even worthy to be there. That's how base a person views someone else, right? So the water for that. So reading on, almost finished up. I didn't know it was this long. So we have verse 20 again. Let us condemn him with the shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Verse 21. Such things they did imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness have blinded them. Right? So through their own wickedness and pride, it has blinded their understanding of how the world is truly put in course by the Most High. As for the mysteries of the Most High power, they knew them not. Why? Because the Most High did not give it to them. Right? Colossians 1:26, Amos 3 and 7. Right? The Most High revealeth his secrets or his mysteries to his servants, the prophets. Right? Says the same thing in different words in both of those scriptures. Colossians 1:26, Amos 3 and 7. So I'm going to read that again. As for the mysteries of the Most High power, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. Right? So they didn't hope for the reward that would come from doing the Most High's will, right? Because it was never given for them to hope for. It was only given to the righteous. Verse 23, For the power created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Who is this for? The righteous seed. How do we become immortal? By keeping the law. And then the Most High will fulfill a perfect promise by making us 100% immortal as it pertains to changing our minds and our bodies, because we'll have the law in our inward parts. That's again Hebrews 8:8 to the end. Verse 24, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, going back to Adam and Eve, right? Being seduced by their word, by his words, to now cause them to want to be like the power, or to be their own authority and do what they wanted to do, right? When the Most High gave them direct commandment to follow this, he seduced them to follow other knowledge. So again, it says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, which was the judgment or the wage of following that seducing spirit, right? And they that do hold of his side do find it, right? Hold of it, meaning hold of sin, right? Through the devil. If the devil's on your sides, like when you see in cartoons where you had the angel on the right side and the devil on Satan on the left, and you now listen to which one, and then which one sound better, then you made that choice. You do hold of it, right? You're making your choice, and you will receive the reward of your choice. All right. Okay. So that concludes Wisdom of Solomon chapters 1 and 2. To be honest with you, I thought this was probably going to be like an hour and a half service. I think I edified too long, but Most High as well, everybody did get the precepts for this class. If there's questions on anything particular, make sure you write them down, and we'll bring them to the classes upcoming. Now, even with that, next Tuesday we will not have a regular class, because as we know, it will be the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles. It will be the 8th day. Today is the 4th day. Sundown will be the 5th day. Tuesday sundown will be the 8th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and we will have a service to close out the feast. That is the great day that the Most High and Yahweh Shah speak about in the book of John. So we'll have that to take up for the Tuesday night. But Friday night class, make sure if you got any others that want to learn more, come to the Friday night class, and we can go through any questions. Next week, we will be back in the Old Testament. We will be in 2 Kings chapters 21 and 22. Again, 2 Kings chapters 21 and 22. And also remember, today is a feast day, part of the week, meaning you can't cook on this day. So make sure you enjoy yourselves. All right, I'm not sure if Hootie Daniel and K7 King, I'm just reading through. I know there was some back and forth, but for those who wanted to say, find out the truth, knowing that the truth is the commandments of the Most High that was given to a specific people to keep. The Most High chose them. Did see Elder make mention that you do have Israelites that scattered throughout the four corners, but what draws you in, that's a book of a Torah precept to pull in Romans 8 and 6. The Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. What that means is 16, not 6. Yeah. What that means is that if you're desired to continue to break bread with us spiritually on these Sabbath service lessons online, there's many different camps, and your desire and hearing all the things that you hear about how the Most High only chose one nation of people, it's not all people, right? The Most High did not choose the descendants of the people of Ham. He chose the descendants of the people of Shem, all the way down to one nation of people, right? And then you hear the judgments, the prophecies, the history, the testimony. If your spirit has a desire to continue and has a will to follow that, then you bear witness that you are one of the sons of the Most High power, right? You may have that with people who might think that they're one thing and come to find out they are of the seed of Israel, and this probably was going under a different ideology as far as for how they came into their nativity. Society satanic, gonna panic when they see the son of Manic. I don't know if that's the son of man. I'm assuming that's the son of man, not the son of Manic. Kun.
Oh, you trying to rap?
Huh?
You trying to rhyme?
Could be. Yeah. Society satanic. I don't know. Son of Manic sounds interesting to me. Jesus is a liar. Revelations 22:16. He is Lucifer. No. Lucifer, first of all, I mean, we just went in a class on Lucifer back in Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and understanding what the word means. Lucifer, light bearer. It is a name given that the Most High wants Israel to take up as a proverb to the king that will be ruling in the last days of the earth. Whoever is the nation that's ruling is who this proverb is supposed to be taken up to. And we know that the nation that's ruling in these last days right now is that nation of people, not one individual, but it is a nation of people that the Most High says or calls to be Lucifer, the light bearer, because they claim to uphold the light, right? They claim to be the people of the Most High. They claim to be the Most High based on the images and things that we see that are painted in all these churches, so forth and so on. So that comes with understanding the scriptures. Next one I see is God is one, not three, not Trinity exists in scripture. Kun, right? Trinity is a false doctrine, one that is very, when you look at it and break it down, it is confusing to think of the Trinity as being truthful, right? Kun, I did see this one, Lab Tawab. Kun, so warrior, again, Shalom, all praise in the Most High in Christ, the water Kun. So again, everyone that was able to stay up, I know this was a bit long. I didn't expect it to go this long, but again, happy Sabbath, happy Feast of Tabernacles, happy Feast of Ingatherings. We also say that because the Ingatherings is also around this time. Both of the Tabernacles and the Ingatherings has a special meaning. Lord's will, we'll be able to touch on those principles when we get to the closing on Tuesday night. As always, let's take care of some administrative duties here for those who do want to dial into the classes on Tuesday and Friday nights. And again, Tuesday night will be the closing of the service, or will not be a class, but you can dial into the teleconference line 667-770-1085. And then the pin is 521-455. As always, like and share, and then you can come back to the videos to go over anything that was missed, as well as some of the information that's being provided. Same thing, if you want to join the class, which is preferred to join the class live, you can go to profitabletalks.com, which is a Zoom class. During the same period, 7 to 10. It will not be this upcoming Tuesday, but we will do a Profitable Talks Zoom class next Friday and the Tuesday following. For those who want to also join in the classes, this is preferred because we can see each other and have a good dialogue with one another. If you are not able to do that, you can still do the teleconference line that was provided a little earlier. Anyone who wants to make a donation to further help this truth, right? Because those donations, your offerings, your tithes, whatever, is going to the upkeep of the sanctuary, which is the school, as far as for the supplies and things that's needed. Unlike maybe other quote unquote worldly churches or other camps, HYK, we do not salary the teaching, meaning I don't get money for this. No one, except me, no one gets money because we sit and we freely teach this word. It all goes to the rent, the bills, the supplies, the things that we use for the service, all for the upkeep, as well as for any of those who are poor. If they're in sincere need of help, then you also have the Most High's treasury here to help those out who are in sincere need and not just doing it for bank, just because. But it's not for any of the Kahanians to fill their pockets or to go, line their pocket. We don't do that here. So you can make a donation to Hayash Kanas, not HYK, as you see on the marquee here, and make it out with the information 3826B, Germantown Avenue, Philadelphia, PA, 19140. And then if you want to do it digitally, you can do it through PayPal or Zelle, paypal.me/HYK12, or Zelle. You can use the telephone number 646-620-7378. Again, 646-720-7378. Right. Again, if you missed anything, you always, right at the end of the prayers, come back in 5 minutes and YouTube will have it saved and you can go back. All right. So again, I say Ashar Shabbat, Ashar Kag Sakawath. It was a beautiful thing, as I mentioned earlier, being able to all go down in person to North Carolina and have a glorious week. Most High's will for the upcomings. We get more brothers and sisters to participate, and it's not just for us, right? Because this is first for the Most High. When we do these things, it's for the Most High, but then it's beautiful for us to enjoy each other's company and learn of each other. We had some, a couple of financial literacy classes that brothers and sisters was talking. We had a little showcase of I don't know if it was Wing Chun or whatever. Akwaf Makwadash was showing off her skills and things. I was impressed. I said, okay, she almost took down Elder Zaquan, but we said, okay, kind of tip of that. We not throw other under the bus. I know he's laughing. I'm just joking. But again, we experienced a lot of different things, and it was beautiful. So all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Shai, for us having a good time and more to come. So again, I'll say Ashar Shabbat, Ashar Kak Sakawath, Shalom, and stay tuned for the closing prayers. Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Asherah, Nathan Lanawa, Par Yahagapin, throughout Amun, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ath Yasha'Ella. So the English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it, to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai with Israel. And Madu Apun Jerusalem, stand and face Jerusalem for the closing prayers. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baba Kushah, Shemai, Lanawa, Aitha, Yum Yun, Aitha, Shalat, Maika Allah, Waha Allahayim, Tazwadakim, La, Shemal Ayel, Barak, Rapah, Magun, Wahakaziyak, Banya, Yasha Allah, Washalat, Lanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Rabiam, Da'aith, Rabiam, Bayana, Rabiam, Sabalanwa, Rabiam, Amawan, Rabiam, Aqua, Rabiam, Ahabiam, Rabiam, Haganah, Rochanaya, Wasalak, Kal, Katayamnawa, Laha'akim, Wayasha Allah, Thamyad, Wayulam, Bahasham, Yahawashai, Owada, Aman. English translation. Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is the Most High's name. Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is Jesus in the ancient Hebrew. Please listen to us now, right now. Send Michael and the righteous powers or angels to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith,
much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins for the brothers and sisters and Israel always and forever. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Four Corners Prayer. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Barak Noah,
Barak Noah,
Wayasha Allah,
Yashala,
Wabati Asaparim,
Bhakti Asapari,
Shema, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Achad. English translation. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel in the house of books or the different schools. And Deuteronomy 6:4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one power. And again, we say Ashar Shabbat and also Ashar Chag Sakawath, happy Sabbath, happy Feast of Tabernacles. Shalom, Israel. Enjoy.
Shalom.